Once again, my people, you know this Don Tony Teflon back at you with another one. And this one is Better Call Saul. Part two. Part two, we're going to do it. Talk about part two, not part one. We're going to strictly focus on part two of this season and give predictions of what we believe are going to happen to each character. And this first character we're going to start with is Kim. Joining me, as always, is my usual suspect podcast partner, Phil the Issues Guy. What's going on?
It's great to be here. Great to talk about Better Call Saul, one of my favorite shows of all time. And I'm so excited that you're covering and talking about it now here in this final season. I'm so excited it's getting the love and the attention it deserves as we're getting into this final stretch. And I can't wait to talk about, we're talking about some Kim tonight, but of course, Better Call Saul and talking about this season in general and talking about predictions for part two. In general, we're going to be talking about a lot of different things tonight, but specifically focused on Kim. So, Tony, thanks for having me, and I'm excited to talk some Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould universe stuff.
No doubt, and as I say, I've always watched the show, and I watch a lot of shows I don't cover on the channel. I've watched The Walking Dead and didn't cover on the channel. Can't cover everything you watch. If I did, I had no time.
Tony, I remember specifically being on a live panel talking about a completely different other show that we were talking about. I believe it was Game of Thrones, and bringing up Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould, and then taking it aside where I talked about how I would have loved for them to take over the show in the second half. So, and we've been talking about Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and some of Tony's after streams and on my streams as well. So I've been talking to Tony about Better Call Saul, just not on stream since probably season 1, season 2, or whatever it is. So we've been babbled about the show. So it's good to actually be doing it officially. You have a couple of really awesome videos so far, planning out some theories, which is amazing to have you in there because, myself, I'm more of a recapper, reactor, talk about what happens, dig it in. So it's great to have someone that's really good at picking out theories. And I know I'm starting early here, but definitely everyone check out Tony's theory video about the gene stuff. Really goes through each gene section and kind of breaks it apart. So it's good to have you on the case, so to speak, Tony. I know these guys are tougher to predict than the average people, but it's good to have you on the case.
Oh, I appreciate it. That is what I do mostly on Teflon TV. We are theories. We give predictions, we give Easter eggs and all that stuff, and we recap and review. But without further ado, let's say what up to the people in the chat. We have a lot of people that we know. We have Lady Starfall joining us in the building. Thank you very much. Mod Mary is up in the piece rocking with us. Thank you very much. Jackie C is over here rocking with us. OTDA is in the building rocking with us. Thank you for everyone who joined. Listen, obviously it's our first stream on this, so we'll see, the interest in this type of stream and everything else and going into it. But first, Bill, let's get right into it about this character. Do you believe that she is actually a likable character right now? We know before, she was, but from what we've seen, everything we've seen of her, is she likable?
Right now, at this point, I think she's probably one of the most unlikable people you could have on screen because she's thrown through the complete myriad of emotions. I think what makes the character of Kim Wexler so interesting is she is such a multifaceted character. We've seen her grow in Proceed. She's almost like, in a sense, Walter on this show. She's the one that's broken bad. We'll get into Jimmy at different times, and I talk about the show for 2 hours a week after every episode, just myself babbling. So I'll try to keep it light here. But Jimmy, I think he's always part Saul. Like, we can get into becoming Saul and bringing it all onto him, but I think Slippin' Jimmy's always been a part of him. It is till the day he dies, and it will always be a part of him. It depends on how much he compartmentalizes reality. Kim, we've really seen her go through the full myriad of all of the different emotions and all of the different stuff. So I think where she is right now, the way she's pompously enjoying all of this, it's enjoyable to watch. It's character progression like no other. The way they built this character, the way they have the show focus on Chuck for the first few seasons, and then really kind of she takes over as that second lead on the show, and she was always there, but she really takes over the heavy lifting. And in this last season and a half, seeing the Breaking Kimmy stuff, I think she has become unlikable to me in the sense like Walter's unlikable, where you don't feel like she. I don't think when all this is done, with what happened to Howard at the end, I think she's not going to be as emotionally affected by all of this as Jimmy is. I think this is where we're going to really step up to that point. I think she decided to lie to Jimmy about Lalo because she's trying to control everything in a sense. It always has to be Kim's way. And I love it. I think she's one of the most interesting characters ever on television. But yes, Tony, I know that's a long answer to your simple question. I think she is very Walter White unlikable right now in the sense.
So that's the problem I have with it, and it's a thin line you cross, right? When you deal with Walter White unlikability, right? So we compare Walter White to Tony Soprano, who's also a very bad character who does shitty stuff. But I don't think Tony ever got to that point, even though he killed every member of his crew with his own hands. Every one of his crew that died has died at the hands of Tony Soprano, right? But yet, I don't think he ever reached that point where you didn't like him as a character.
Do you know why? Close with the Christopher thing, but I think with Tony, you did believe he was doing it for his family. He was sticking to a mafia code of some sort. He didn't enjoy it. He enjoyed elements of it, like when him and Christopher were robbing the guys for wine and stuff, but he didn't sort of get off on it in a sense the way Walter did. I did it because I liked it. When he finally admits to Skylar, I didn't do it for my family. I did it because I like it. And I think we're coming to a similar point with Kim, where we see the flashback for her mom. In some ways, this is just her becoming that reflection of her mother. And I think Kim has become, in a sense, and Jackie C asked, so Kim is Walter. To me, in a sense, Kim is kind of the Walter of the show. The red lipstick. Great to see you, Anna.
Raven says Walt is beloved. I don't know if you got to that point. As I said, when Tony Soprano is murdered at the end of The Sopranos, people feel bad. They don't want him to get murdered. Yeah. Walt, I don't think people give a fuck about what happened to Walt.
I think Walt does have a renaissance of sorts at the end when he comes back to save Jesse. But for the most part, I would argue, and someone could argue with me, of course, that Walter becomes a pretty despicable individual towards the end there. And more so than Tony Soprano, more so than the average character. And what is great about Walter and the great about the way that they write characters on this show, including Kim, is it's not clear. It's not a up or down sort of situation. It's completely in the middle. It's floating. It's hovering with all of this stuff. It is an argument. Did Walter just get a little high off it? And how would we all handle that if we got the death sentence? And would we all go a little too far if we got a little bit too much power? And he's been undermined his whole life since he was married to that woman and had all those kids on Malcolm in the Middle. He's been pushed down. We've made fun of him. He's been a joke. Hal was a joke. And then to get that power and work his way up, just like Kim always, after everything with her mother, followed the rules, did everything she needed to do, went through all the steps to get to this point, and Howard still shit on her in her way, and she saw what Jimmy did worked. So she thinks she to me, she's even making Saul. She's doing young Frankenstein on Saul. It's alive, wear this kind of suit, drive this kind of car. Francesca, this office isn't right. This isn't a Hall of Justice or whatever they called it. So I think Kim is more culpable in the whole Saul thing than we want to say. So again, a long answer to that. People can think whatever, especially with the Walt stuff, because it is arguable. Everything on this show is arguable because of the way they write it. They don't write it in a sense of just one person's idea and keep it in. They sit in a writer's room and talk about it like Tony and I in a what if. And they try and they set it up of what's going to happen, what could happen, what happened, and they really make sure it floats before they let it go on the water. And that's what more shows should do, but not all shows do it.
Yeah, and I think people, it's a major thing when you deal with Walt is you got to understand he is terminal, right? He does have that, and when you have that inside you, it's like kind of like the dude from Saw, right? He was terminal, and he was like, listen, all you people claim that you really want to die. Now I'm going to put you in situations where you're going to die because I'm going to die. And you're taking your life for granted. So I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on here. You know what I mean? So she doesn't have that dilemma. She doesn't have that crutch to go back on. Everything we see from her is what she wants to be. Now, I'm going to ask you this question because I think right now we're getting a renaissance of blonde hair, middle-aged women. You know, used to have these blonde hair, middle-aged women. They just sat behind their guys. They didn't do anything. They let the guys take the lead. They were just that. But when you deal with the Ozarks and Wendy, and you deal with her, we see that this blonde hair, middle-aged woman is now actually running the husband, right? Is she more likable than Wendy Bird?
Yes, she's way more likable than Wendy Bird. Wendy Bird is a pompous, arrogant. Wendy is more Walter than Kim is. If we're breaking that down,
but they're basically almost in the same exact situation. They're making the best of a situation that their husbands got them into.
Wendy is more culpable, though, I think. Or no, I don't know about that. No, I don't know about that. But okay, Wendy's not likable. Kim's likable. Kim is charming. Kim is fucking charming. Wendy's a fucking, I want to strangle her. Kim makes smarter decisions. Wendy acts more on emotion. Wendy is more like Tony in that sense. She has these rage fits. Wendy Bird is like the most hated
That's what I
person.
want to talk about, because it just seems that Wendy, like, everyone hates fucking Wendy, but the parallels between them are almost identical.
Another
What's
one
the difference? Why do people hate Wendy and do not hate Kim?
Another one I want to include into this discussion, even though it's a show that gets forgotten about sometimes because of obvious reasons, is House of Cards with Claire there with Robin Wright Penn. She's another character that could almost be
blind hair too
in this category, and being very powerful with Robin Wright playing the character as well. I think she's even more likable than Wendy Bird. And I think if we're making the likable scale, Kim's the most likable of these three. Then we get Robin Wright, and then we get Wendy Bird is the least likable. And then if we include Skylar and Carmela into this argument of likability, I think they both are on the bottom. I mean, I think Carmela is a detestable character, and I think a lot of people dislike Skylar. I don't hate Skylar as much as some people do, but a lot of people dislike her for her hypocrisy with Walter and cheating on Walter and agreeing to it. But I think she was more Stockholm syndrome in a lot of ways, and I think the actress played it well and had to deal with a lot being in a situation like that with Walter. I think Skylar gets unnecessary amounts of shit in the whole show, but yeah, people loved Claire, but people don't love Wendy. I don't want to turn this into a Wendy Bird show, but it's true. What is it about Wendy people don't like, and they like people like Claire and Kim?
What's the difference? Because when you really look at it, I think there's a lot more similarities than there's not. You know what I mean? And everything. So I don't understand why.
I think it's because Wendy has a bad attitude, and Wendy's annoying, and she's
Wendy
stupid.
was thrusted into the position that she did the best. Now listen, she adapted. It wasn't her choice to do all that.
She cheated. She cheated a bunch of times. She was thrusted a bunch of times when she was cheating.
That's a different story.
But I think that's part of it too, where it's people love Marty's such a doorstop. They're like, oh, she cheated on Marty. Oh, like this.
Yeah, you would cheat on Marty too if that was your husband.
Yeah, I would. Right? I would cheat on Marty too. He was kind of a dude.
You know, so that's what I'm trying to get to. Like, why is Kim more likable than Wendy when they're basically almost the same identical character? When you look at it, that's what I'm trying to get at before we move on. What is the difference? What's the appeal of Kim more than the appeal of Wendy?
And I think, and I know we'll get to the super chat in a moment. I think for me, what it is the fact that we've seen that Kim is making more of a rational choice. To go to your point that Wendy had this more thrown upon her. You know, she wanted to leave Marty. She was cheating on him. She thought it was going to be all over. And then she's just thrust into this life. And she's like, okay, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to win it. And then she just took over the situation, took over the boss situation. I think Kim, you feel like she does care about Jimmy, and she's thinking this through, and she's making a tactical choice to make a decision with her eyes wide open heading into this. As much as we want to blame Jimmy, and I think when we get to what we think Kim's fate's going to be, and I'll talk about that too, My thoughts on it, I think no matter what it is, it's something bad. And I think Jimmy's going to take this onto himself. Like it's Jimmy's fault. Everywhere that Jimmy goes, everything that he touches turns to shit, like what Chuck said. But I don't know about that with Kim. I think this is Kim's going into this with her eyes open. She is, and she's not blaming Jimmy for anything. She's not saying, Jimmy, you got me into this. I wouldn't be in this thing if it wasn't for you. She's going in it like, I want to be in this thing, and I'm going to help us be the best at this thing we possibly can be. We're going to have sex to why Howard's getting screwed over to the forward. We're going to go Jamie and Cersei on our dead child's corpse while we're listening to Howard get screwed over and have sex to it. She's like a cool girl, and I think you like Kim. You want to hang out with Kim. You don't want to hang out with Wendy Bird. I think that's what it's that. It's that stupid thing that they say on this is in politics, but that whole thing like in the 1970s, you vote for the guy you want to have a beer with. Like with Kim and Wendy, I don't want to hang out with Wendy Bird. No one wants to hang out with Wendy Bird. You want to hang out with Kim. Kim would be fun. Kim's a good person in some ways, I think.
I feel you, but I think that, listen, when it came down, the whole Bird family would be dead without Wendy. Like if Wendy didn't do what she did, that whole family's dead. The kids are dead. Marty's dead. She dies. It's Wendy that saves all their ass, and it's hard. Do people hate her because she is that strong of a woman? Mm-hmm. And people really just don't like to see a woman that strong. Are they intimidated by a woman that strong? But Kim still doesn't come off like that. Now it's a different type of show. You know what I mean? And they're portrayed differently. It's more of a comedy here when we deal with Saul. You know what I mean? And it's portrayed a little bit differently. But I still think that they're more alike than not alike.
No, I definitely see it, and it's an interesting question on why she's more liked, because I don't think it's as simple as the powerful thing, because I think Kim is powerful. I think Kim is just equally as strong and capable of a person as Wendy is. I think it comes down for me to that Big Lebowski thing. Walter, you're right, but you're also an asshole. And I think Wendy does protect her family. Marty would be jerking off in a corner, and I mean that figuratively, like with doing nothing, like overthinking and doing nothing in a corner without Wendy pushing him. Like Wendy is the gas. She saves that family's ass and screws them over a bunch of times. What she does with her brother, all that stuff. But she's still an asshole, and it comes through, and it's and you can be as good as you want, it's like Barry Bonds in baseball. He's a great, but everyone hated him because he's a freaking asshole. Like it doesn't matter. You can be great at what you do, and no one wants to be on your team. And I think that's the thing with Wendy, at least to me. I think the biggest separation between the two characters, because you're right about the different show, you're right, but they're both equally as powerful people to me.
All right, Alexander Wilson, thank you for the super chat. The court being pissed at being played with Lalo will play into the story, and I think Kim will take the fall for it and do jail time. So we're going to get into all that, but I do agree with a lot that you're saying there, but I don't know about the full. Let me say what up to Mara Davis in the building drop. We haven't seen her in a while. Thank you so much for coming back, beautiful. We are happy to see you there as always. So let's deal with what we last seen them. Seen them inside the apartment. Lalo comes in. He does the hit job. After that, Kim is Kim.
Do we have to talk about this again? Oh my god,
we got to talk about it. This is where we see them laid up at. What happens here now? I think that, me personally, they get out of this situation. I don't think this is a big situation, a big deal. That they're not going to get out of. I think that
I think he, if he wanted all of them dead, he would have killed all of them. He doesn't like something that they talked about last time in the whole thing in the desert. Like he's there he saw the cockroach in the sewer, got an idea in his head to go talk to the cockroach in his life. I think he has something business more to do with Saul right now than Kim, or both of them. They're both his lawyers. She's in the game too. So yeah, I think they're fine. He's got some mission for them to do, some perspective, some way that it fits into his plan of taking down Gus in using Jimmy and Kim. So I agree. I don't think they're in any immediate danger in the moment to Lalo.
So I think it's suicide is the way they get out of it, right? He committed suicide. I think that's how they're going to get out of it. We already seen him when he was, people already think he was on drugs already, right? They've seen him shit the bed on the case, so he would be at that point where that it would be believable at this particular time, because everyone said, oh, assumes he's on drugs. He shit the bed on the case.
Mm-hmm.
This is enough for them to say, hey, this man committed suicide. Also, it's on the right side of his head is where he's shot. He's a righty. If he held the gun, that's where the gun would be. If he held it up to his head and blew his own brains out, I think that's the easiest way for them to get out of it, is to say that she came over about this case, blah, blah, pulled out a gun, committed suicide, he killed himself right in front of us.
The only person that may have a question is Cliff Main, in the sense that when Howard was losing his shit, telling him about this is all set up, I know what's going on here, Cliff didn't not believe him. He said, even if that's true, it's going to be tough to XYZ. So he could be a little not quite convinced by all of this, but he's the only one. Everyone else, everything that they set up is quite believable. I wouldn't be surprised if Cliff Main does a little poking around with thinking that this might be a little too clean around the edges of Howard knowing, but I still don't think he would ever think Jimmy would be any part of killing Howard. I think that's where Jimmy gets out of this a little bit. Yeah, Howard's wife too, but she might be excited Howard's gone.
But it's when they put that drug inside, dripped it on top of the pictures. Is that enough to get it inside of his system? Because they're saying that he was on drugs. Eventually, the autopsy revealed that he isn't on drugs, right? So that would be, I think, that why people would start to question it. And there's always going to be someone to question. It's not like everyone's just going to fall in line, but it's a way out. Right? It's a way out of the situation that they were just in. It's a way to get out of it right off the bat and not have to worry about the police being involved with this dead body in their house.
Yeah, and in fairness, the police have never been a factor on this show. They've never really been shown to be anything but jokes in the situation. One question that I have coming off that, and we'll get into this, is, does Lalo take care of the body, or does he expect Kim and Jimmy to take care of it? And do they call Mike? Because they don't know anybody else, and they don't know about the situation between Mike and Lalo. Actually, Kim does. Kim knows about the Lalo and Mike situation because Mike met her and asked about Lalo. So she might not know to call Mike, or maybe it will be her instinct to call Mike. And also, Biggie, just because you made that comment, TMNT Lalo, I put up this picture for you with Lalo looking out the sewer with the Ninja Turtles. It's a little small, but
I mean, he does kind of look like it hanging out up in.
Yeah, he does. Right? It Ninja, dude. It was like it Ninja Turtle at some points.
Without a doubt, but I think that Lalo leaves it. I think Lalo is going to be like, all right, do what I want you to do. Peace. I'm out. And leave them with the body on the floor.
Yeah, me too.
Like, you guys deal with this.
Do you think they call Mike to clean it up?
I know. I think that they just call the police and just say he committed suicide. I think that's just the easiest way for them to do it and get away with it.
It's either that, or they have to call the veterinarian and get his book and see if they have a fixer, and this is how Cuddy comes into it to clean up the body or something. Or
they do that, but I don't think they can just disappear him. Right, I don't think they can just get rid of his body and then all of a sudden he's just gone. He's
too high profile. You're right. He's too high profile.
I just don't think they could do that to him. I heard people saying that Lalo eventually will kill Kim. What do you think about that direct situation, Lalo killing Kim?
I mean, it's obviously a possibility. I want to say that regardless of whatever we say here, anything's a possibility, because we might be right. Tony has a chance to be right more than the average person, but most of us are not going to be right with this goddamn show. So yes, that could definitely be a possibility if Jimmy doesn't do what Lalo wants and kind of gives him an ultimatum. If you don't do this, if you don't go meet with Gus Fring and blow up something in his shop, I'm just going to kill Kim. That's just what's going to happen. But to me, I don't think that is Kim's fate, being killed by Lalo. I think she has a much worse not worse fate than death, but in a sense, maybe a worse fate than death in the sense of being discredited, disbarred, maybe put in jail for a little while and working at a Cinnabon herself of some sort, working at Leechmere or something like that. I don't know if Leechmere existed back then, or I think if we're too far for Leechmere, but something like that. I think with her death, it's more career death with her rather than actually death. I think she is alive in the black and white Jean timeline. Whether they meet again in that timeline is, I think maybe the phone call has to do with her. And I know you share some similar perspectives. I think Wisconsin is definitely a big part of that. We'll get into that. The fact that they're Nebraska, excuse me, not Wisconsin, Nebraska, that they're out in Nebraska is in Nebraska's Kim State, and the license plate. Like, I think it all does have some sort of connective tissue. So I think Kim is alive, but I don't think she's a lawyer anymore. And I think her whole life is destroyed. So can Lalo kill her? Yes, that might happen. But I do think I don't think that's necessarily going to be the outcome for Kim. How about you? Do you think Lalo will kill Kim?
I think it's 100% impossible. I don't see that anyway. In any way. If they did this shit, this would be bigger than what they just did.
Yeah.
Right? It'd be bigger because there's no way. They're not going to have this guy, who I'm going to consider a side character in the show, kill two main people in one fucking season. He's not going to have two whack jobs like that major in one season. They're going to let him whack two people like that. There's no way they can allow him for that reason to do it.
No, now, I think Lalo goes down in the second half. I think that in the second half is Lalo going down.
Yeah, because he's not, Saul, he thinks that Lalo still alive.
Right. Okay. Yeah. People have asked us about that. I know this is a Kim thing, but I do want to mention this. I was thinking about making a shorter video on this too, about this subject, about why Saul mentions Ignacio and Lalo. First of all, he has no clue Nacho's dead. And why would he ever know Nacho's dead? I mean, this is preview, short video. Nacho, he doesn't know. Why would he know? Same with Lalo. Gus could, and I know some people think that Jimmy might kill Lalo in some way, shape, or form. That's definitely a possibility too. But I do think it has more to do with the Mike and Gus storyline to take down. I think we have a MacGyver versus Columbo final battle situation with Mike and Lalo, where they both have to outmaneuver each other and Mike gets the best of him. At least that's how I think Lalo gets taken out. Maybe that's a little cliche, but I still think it's going to be done in a really fun way and give Mike that big final thing. And whatever it does brings Mike and Gus together to the point where we see them in Breaking Bad, where they're almost inseparable. Where right now they have a little bit more conflict. So I tend to agree with you. I don't think there's a chance really for Lalo to kill Kim, but you never can tell. I think it's too much. I mean, our two big hardcore moments that we had in this first half was the Nacho death and the Howard death. Not everything in this show, this isn't that kind of show. Not every big crazy moment is going to be a death. And yeah, Lalo's death is going to be probably pretty big, but part of this is the journey, not necessarily the specific outcomes or the what the fuck moment or something that's going to happen. And this is going to be far more nefarious, I think, than just simple Lalo kills Kim, and Jimmy kills Lalo. I think it's just going to be a little bit more complex. And if we go to the Gene thing, I mean, Gene could turn himself in at the end to save Kim or something. Finally, at the end, I don't know. There could be some interesting stuff, but to answer
I think Lalo has a good chance to be made into soup. Alexander Wilson says, I think Mike will come and clean the body because that's how he was introduced in Breaking Bad. I am not discrediting that, and I'm not saying that's not good. I'm just saying that I don't think this is a body that can be cleaned. I don't think this is a body that can he could just disappear after this.
Yeah,
I think there has to be some type of resolution. I think him disappearing and them saying that he committed suicide in front of them, it leads to more questions and answers. It gets the cops off their back, but it will get other people questioning, because you have to see in this second house the falling of the house of cards, right? you have to see how this thing goes to shit. When we see him in the Gene scenes, everything's gone to shit.
Shit.
Right.
Absolutely shit.
So this second half has to be everything leading towards that. And I think that they, all right, if they got the upper hand of this man and then got rid of his body, and that was the end of it, that would be a shitty storyline. They have to pay for that. They have to pay for what they did, for whatever you want to call it, a prank or whatever, or this out conning him. They have to pay for that moment.
Yeah.
Right. And the only way to pay for that moment right now, because he's dead, is that they're, how did he die? And they start to lie about it. And then the walls start to close in on him because of it. That's the only way he could get justification, or just gets justice for what happened to him.
100%, Tony. And they even said, Peter Gould was talking about this on the Insiders podcast and on Talking Saul, that this is the inciting moment for a lot more drama to come. And Bob Odenkirk was spoiling or talking about how you don't even know essentially about what this event is going to lead to. And to go to your point about Howard, yeah, it's, and I know Michael Corleone took out the police chief, but there's a line in The Godfather that's like, you just can't take out a police chief, not like that. He's got too much like heat on him. Like someone like Howard, you just can't make his body disappear. It wouldn't work. He's too high profile in the situation that he was just in. They're too connected to it with Cliff Main and everything that he said, and they know that Howard has mentioned them because he was listening they were listening in on the call where he mentions Jimmy in it, like, Jimmy, do you know Jimmy Miguel? Oh, Saul Goodman, whatever his name is, like in the meeting, and then suddenly he just disappears. Who's going to be the first person they turn to? Like you just can't make the guy disappear like that. Tony, we do have our first voicemail.
Oh wait, I gotta get something to reload the thug mug.
Okay. Let me take a couple of live chats. The Hobbit Hole says, Kim is never mentioned in Breaking Bad. I think she's dead meat. She could be. And again, this is one of the interesting things. And I know a lot of shows we want to tell you 100% what's going to happen. What's awesome about this show is it's tougher to predict this. Kim is gone from Jimmy or Saul's life one way or another. But I've been saying this for a while. One thing to consider is, do we really know what Jimmy's life is outside of his interactions with Walt and Jesse? We don't know what his home life is. I'm not saying Kim is alive and with him during Breaking Bad. I don't particularly think that's one of the Kim situations.
He does hit on with Francesca during that, right?
He hits on everybody. And he hits on Francesca right now when he's with Kim. I don't buy that either. And he says he has 2 ex-wives, 3 ex-wives. You don't know really what's going on in Jimmy's life. I'm not saying Kim's there, but she very well could be, and we just don't see her because we don't see it from Saul's perspective ever. I don't think that's the case, but I know there's some people that do believe that, and that also believe that we're going to get into the Breaking Bad timeline during Better Call Saul, and that's how we're going to get our Jesse and Walt cameo appearance that has already been confirmed.
Yeah, I think you have to go a little bit into that, a little bit. I think you have to. I think you have to tie, in order for this show, if you want to tie, there's certain loose ends you have to tie up for this show. And I think you have to go into the show that they've been there. You have to go into the Gene scenes, and you don't have to conclude the Gene scenes. You don't have to show this is the end of his life or anything like that. You just have to show why he's there and how he gets done with the taxi cab driver.
Exactly.
And you can end right there. You don't have to go into anything else like that. But
I think they will, though, Tony. I think we're going to get from everything that they've been saying, this is an end point for this universe in a sense. So that's where it lets me believe. And again, this is a different streamer we can do about the Gene thing. And Tony did a great video and some theories on that. And I highly recommend you check it out. But we could get a conclusion with him turning himself in at the end of all of this and going to jail to face his crime so he doesn't have to run anymore. Someone in the live, Dan J, in my comment section in Facebook, suggested a ending where Saul decides that the only way he can practice law again and do what he loves is go to jail and be like a jailhouse, sort of like help all the prisoners in jail, like being just with, you know, not an actual practicing lawyer, but that's the only way he can do what makes sense to him and help people and scam people within in the system, so he doesn't have to run anymore.
Does he love, and there's the Kim thing, we're gonna go back to Kim, but does he actually love practicing law? I know that he says that, you know, he shots out, don't talk, get yourself a lawyer, but does he actually love practicing law, or the lifestyle that provides him because of that practice of law and the excitement that he got from doing that? Does he actually love the job itself, or he's loved that excitement that he got from it, and that sense of being somebody that he got from being Saul?
Good damn question, Tony. And I think a better comparison for Better Call Saul, just from a television show standpoint, rather than Breaking Bad, and I know those shows are so intertwined because they're the same universe, is Mad Men. And I think you could ask the same question about Don Draper. Does Don Draper love going into that boardroom and convincing people and turning people over and going through that? Or does that just allow him to use every manipulation and emotional tactic that gets him off inside to be able to control people and make people like him? Or in Don's case, make people like him. And in Jimmy's case, control them and be a puppet master and be able to have a wacky plan come together and come out of nowhere. So it is a good question. And Tony, going into you asking it, I was going to say he does have an affinity for the law because of Chuck and because of stuff. But by the time you finished asking the question, I had gone to number 2. I think he more enjoys the practice of getting himself out of a hole, of the fact of what I liked about you, and you know it, Tony. It's the night before a 6-page term paper is due. You haven't started one page on it, and you're going, I'm the man. I'm going to write this paper in one night, and I'm going to get a passing grade. And Jimmy loves doing shit like that. I think the law lets him do his thing, you know, it lets him live his lifestyle in some ways. So I think it's probably more number 2. So it's a good point, Tony. I don't think he necessarily loves the law. I think he loves manipulation, and the law lets him, and it's the perfect vehicle for him to use his manipulation.
Yeah, and so before we go right to this voicemail, again, you can call in 781-990-8509. This is your predictions more than ours. We want to hear what you have to say, and then we'll tell you if we can give you the thumbs up, thumbs down on it, right? The Hobbit Hole says Howard was considered unstable when he died. His disappearance wouldn't seem that out. It would. It would. I understand that. I think the unstable plays into the suicide part.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's how they get out of it. And I think the unstable plays into, he was unstable. That's why he killed himself. He was mad at us. He came over here drunk. He bought this bottle and shot himself right in front of our head. We're traumatized, blah, 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 blah. Their fingerprints aren't on the gun. They put his fingerprints on the gun. They put the hand on it. His fingerprints go on the gun. As I said, it's on the right side of the head. He gets shot. He's a right-handed person. That's ideally where he would put the bullet if he did it. Yep. So it just makes it work that way. And I think that's how the House of Cards starts to fall from that moment on. They were at their highest point right then, right? They had they're having sex on the couch, everything. They got everything going, and now the cards crumble down with this death. They had it made, they would have gotten everything, but now this is when it all comes down, the death of this character and the way he was. Lalo fucks up everything for them.
He does. And there's also motive. I mentioned this earlier, but Howard specifically mentions Jimmy in the meeting when he's freaking out. So it would make sense that if he in his own mind, losing his mind, would go to Jimmy's house next to confront him, to kind of do that situation. No one's believing me, and shoot himself. So it seems like almost perfect situation for that.
Eric Thies, thank you for the super chat. All right, let's get to our first voicemail.
This is area code 209.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Sterling calling out from California.
Welcome, Sterling.
So just to give my little crackpot theory on Kim, I do think that she will probably die and commit suicide. And I think that's going to be from her jumping off a rooftop or a balcony. We see multiple times throughout the show her on a rooftop. She even made comments about being afraid of heights and joking about killing herself. And then even after she breaks her arm, that bald lawyer dude, he makes a comment about her being a little bird with a broken wing. So I don't know, just knowing Vince Gilligan and company, they don't just do that just to do it. You know, foreshadowing for them is pretty much, you know, in their DNA. So that's just my take on it. But who knows what will happen. If anything, yeah, maybe Lalo will kill her or jail time, but I just think that's just too easy. I think it's going to be something more tragic, and I can't think of anything more tragic than a suicide. But yeah, keep up the good work, guys. Godspeed.
Thank you so much for the voicemail. And what do you think about that, Tony? Do you think she could possibly?
As a theory crafter, you know, I think that what he laid out is something that I would lay out if I was crafting a theory and putting it in there. Everything he says is 100% correct.
It had the evidence
up there. It did call her a bird with a broken wing. But is she that type from what we see? Is it a stretch from what you've seen of her that she would kill herself to that point? Or that she wouldn't, you know, why would she kill her? If let's look at the worst in that case scenario. She's gonna go to jail.
Yeah.
Would she kill herself if she was faced with time? Or would she do if she had no choice from the character that we see him? Does it seem like a character that would say, you know what, fuck it, I'd rather die than go to jail? Just to jail. We'll say with the jail right now.
You never want to say never because you don't know what goes on inside someone's head, but I don't think so. I think Kim is the type of person that's just gonna chuck up and do it. Like whatever she has to deal with, she's gonna chuck up and find a way to do it. She's gonna be the best prison person. She's gonna go all Piper from Orange is the New Black. She's gonna get a book about learning about prison. She's gonna read about it. She's gonna know to punch the first person that fucks with her. Like she's gonna go find the biggest, toughest person, punch them, and get into a fight. Get the guards will pull you off. She's gonna go through all the steps. I think I personally, great call. I agree. They crafted out reasons, had a good backup to their theory, and I do think it's going to be a tragic ending. I think Kim is of sterner stuff than that, and I'm not saying I'm. From a character standpoint, I don't think Kim comes off to me as someone that would kill herself. But I don't know. Who knows how she's going to handle this? They might go a direction where Kim loses her fucking shit, having seen brain splatter all over. Like myself, I'm one of the persons championing this sterner stuff. She's going to deal with this easier than Jimmy. They could take it in a different direction where Howard's done this for, helped her out her whole life and protected her and, helped her get her lawyer's license, get past the bar, paid for her, and she's like, oh, I was bitter and I fucked with Howard and this led to his death. I didn't want him to die. And this could cause a whole schizoid embolism in her head, which could drive her down a path to maybe want to kill herself. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying the Kim that we know up until this point doesn't seem like that's in her character profile makeup. I don't know, Tony, what do you think?
It would be, to me, out of the box. She would have to be in a situation where there was such a no way out.
Yeah.
That she, because when there's life, there's chance, right? There's always chance. So she would have to be in a situation where there's such a no way out. And I just don't see it for me, because the fact that they showed her get the card and they stretched her when she got the card, and that card is a way out. And they showed her get that. And I don't think they didn't show that for a reason.
So I mean, we're going to get into this more specific, but fuck it. I mean, we're here now. You think Kim's going to the vacuum cleaner sale?
Yeah, I think Kim's out. I think she's, whatever happens here, this is the house of cards. It starts to fall down. Then we can go into exactly what's going to happen. But when it all said and done, I think she's out. I think that, I think this quote right here from Kim says exactly how it's going to end for her. She says, Jimmy, I have been on your side since the day we met. Who comes running when you call? Who cleans up your messes? I have a job, but I drop everything for you. Every single time you confess to a felony on tape, I think that's very important, I'm there. You have a bar hearing, I represent you. Over and over again. If you need me, I'm there.
Tony, the definition of ride or die.
Exactly. But at the end, there's always a breaking point. That when you felt like I've done everything for you all this time, and now the chips are down, I can't do no more for you. I gotta go.
Yeah, and Tony, I think we've already seen precedent to that. We haven't seen the outcome of it. I want to point out something that Ted says in the chat. I think that Kim Wexler has seen brains splattered in Nebraska days. And it's certainly a possibility. There was a reason, and they've talked about this on the Insiders podcast. They mentioned that there's still going to be one more potential flashback scene for Kim to show why she left Nebraska. So there's precedent in the sense of there had to be a final point where she reached with her, very similar to Jimmy mother, that she reaches a point with her mother where she's like, no more. I'm not dealing with your shit. I'm going in the complete other direction. I'm done. Goodbye. And so there's precedent for her doing something like that too, to the point where maybe she's going to come to that similar point with Jimmy, where she comes to a point and she realizes that they're both, and I'm not going to say Jimmy's at fault. She might look at it in a different perspective. They are toxic elements that come together and create something bad. They get the worst elements of each other out.
Are you saying that Kim is willing to poop on his pillow?
I do think she's willing to poop on his pillow, Tony. I think she's willing to go Arya, like throw the rock at at Nymeria to send Nymeria out. She is going to squat Cobbler on his pillow. I know it's the wrong picture. She's gonna. That's the old picture. She's gonna squat Cobbler on there, Tony.
It's just I don't think that he would be the same character in Breaking Bad if something like that happened. I don't think if something happened to her where it was that devastating, you know what I mean, where she killed herself.
Right. And I agree.
And it would have to be, he would have to bear responsibility in this. He would have to say, this is, this.
I don't think she killed
the Gene scenes. Also, if you see the Gene scenes, he wouldn't want to go back to live that life if he lost the love of his life by suicide because of his actions. And we see in the Gene scenes that he's desperate to get back to his lifestyle. And I don't think he would be that desperate of getting back to his lifestyle if there was something going on there with her, if she died like that.
I don't think she does. I think it's more towards what you were just saying, in the sense of she's going to come to a breaking point with him and leave him at some point.
Kimber Turd,
Kimber Turd, yeah.
Let me say this. I'm remiss for not saying this earlier as soon as the stream started, but I should have probably said this right, especially when dealing with what we're talking about. And I'm going to get Phil's comments on this real quick, and we're going to go right back to some Sam and Extra. Rest in peace to Ray Liotta.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Iconic roles, two iconic roles. I think two truly iconic roles, right? Fields of Dreams and Goodfellas. I personally if you ever seen that movie Goodfellas, the character who played Henry when Henry was a child is one of my good friends. He's my good friend. I grew up with him. And if you went on my Facebook page, you would see him on there. His name is Christopher Scott Sterone. I remember when he got the role. I remember when, he came when we were little. He came to me, said he got the role and everything else and all that. So Goodfellas truly holds a special place in my heart because my friend was in the fucking movie, right? So,
and it's one of the greatest movies of all time.
To me, it's the greatest mafia movie ever made. I don't think it's even a question.
It's Goodfellas. I mean, Goodfellas is more of a real representation than The Godfather. I have a little bit of a place in my heart for but it's arguable. It's those two movie franchises and nothing else is close. I would say you got The Godfathers, Goodfellas, and it's 1A, and certain people will put 1, and because 1 is more of a romantic 4-hour epic thing. But anyways, I don't want to take away from Ray Liotta's flowers right now. Ray Liotta is amazing, and he was in a lot of other little movies too. No Escape is a really good movie he was in. Operation Dumbo Drop is not a good movie. Copland is another one. Underrated performance in an underrated movie is the Rat Pack movie with him playing Frank Sinatra. You got Joey Montana, really amazing casting, playing Dean Martin. Don Cheadle doing a great job as Sammy Davis Jr. He's in a ton of movies he's been in his life, but great actor.
These are
And
the two he'll be remembered for: Shoeless Joe Jackson and Henry.
And can we forget that the last movie he did was the Many Saints of Newark?
Yeah,
we'll forget. We forget now. Since
He was supposed to be in Sopranos, he said.
He was
and
initially in David Chase's first conceptual thoughts for The Sopranos, especially when it was in the movie points, it was going to be a reunion of the two characters from Goodfellas. It was going to be Milfy as Carmela, and in fact, even when further down the line, when Gandolfini was attached to it, initially they wanted Lorraine Bracco to play Carmela, and but part of that Ray Liotta thing. But I mean, Ray Liotta wasn't the worst part of that movie, and he's always been a great actor, and he's always gives his all to roles.
100%. Rest in peace, Ray Liotta. You shall be missed. And I would just say that, to people out here in the chat and anyone who's watching it, cherish every second of every day you got. And I think that's what you should take it from. And I would say live your life too. Don't just get by in life. Don't just survive. Live your life. Really live. You know what I mean? And that's where we go. All right, let's go back to we're talking about Kim here. Timothy Coombswell says, I think Kim gets the vacuum guy and says her goodbyes to Jimmy, but on her way there, she gets killed by Gus's men because maybe Gus knows about the lab. Maybe Lalo talks to them about the lab. Now, he will learn about that situation. There's no doubt about it. I just don't think that Lalo or anything like that will lead to Kim's death.
I don't think Mike would let that happen either. I don't think Mike would let Kim die for that situation.
Yeah, I don't see her dying. When you look at a character, you have to look at the arc of this character, right? So when we look at Kim's arc, does her arc end in her dying? Would that be a successful arc for her character? I don't think that's the way it should be. If she's going to lose, because you gotta understand, the arc of the character is this. From the way I would look at it, this is a poor chick who is a con artist with a mother. Like, they were getting evicted out of houses and they were jumping and running. Never had shit.
They had some sort of falling out. They had some sort of situation that changed it up, and she decided she had to get the fuck away from her mother.
Builds herself up all the way to the height of her pinnacle of a career.
From the mailroom to she started off in the mailroom in HHM. She worked her way up, got Howard to sponsor her to get her law degree, and became basically close to a partner in the company.
All the way up. Meets Jimmy. Meets him.
Met him in the mailroom.
Starts doing cons with him and everything else. They think they're at the epitome of what of getting over on Howard. They finally did it. They got it. They're getting the money. They're going to get that dough. And then he gets murdered inside the house and everything starts tumbling down. So I would say she built herself up, and the thing that's fucked her up is meeting this man.
Yep. And
this man will be the cause of everything that she worked for. And you even get it from fucking Howard when he tells you.
He tells her.
He
says it.
You two are made for each other. I thought so much of you. You were so smart. And yet this is what you chose. This is the life you chose for yourself. That's just not a throwaway line. He's telling you that this man right here that you're willing to have sex with after fucking somebody over and celebrating in that is your downfall.
Yep.
And I think she has to realize that, if it's not the Lalo, and it's going to be the death of this dude that starts putting that into place for us. So I think that it comes back down to, and we could talk about this more when we talk about Saul, but you have to look at it at where people started to see where they end up, and And when we look at his character of being a con man is how he started. I think in the end, you have to get conned in the end when you're a con man. If you look at any character like that, we'll go to Game of Thrones because that's where I started, so I know the most about that. Ned Stark was a very honorable man. In the end, it was his honor that led to his death.
I was gonna say Ned's no con man, but yeah,
but I'm saying Littlefinger
had a fuck him
he was
over.
a con man, but his downfall was he fell in love with Sansa, who he taught the game, and he didn't see it coming. And that's what
Teddy KGB beat Matt Damon and didn't see him coming the second time and was being sloppy with his Oreo cookies, and then he had to give the man his money. It's true.
I think that's how it sets up. So to me, I think that since we've shown Kim was shiesty in the beginning, she's gonna go back to her shiestiness when she thinks that this dude and this dude Jimmy's not gonna see it coming. He wouldn't normally be open to these kinds and would see something coming. But I think that Kim could take the money and run on this.
Tony, I want to throw in someone else says in the live chat that and I agree with it, could possibly be that the vacuum cleaner stuff for Kim could be a red herring. Do you think there's any possibility? I've heard this theory floating around as well. And I'm not saying I've said what I believe to a certain extent. So some of this stuff isn't what I believe. So I'm just verbalizing, and people in the chat, if you've heard this or you agree with it, pile on. Is there any way that Kim enjoys her life connected to the cartel and starts working more directly with Lalo, or starts working more with Gus? Like, she enjoys keep proceeding her way down this criminal enterprise, and she ends up working more directly with Lalo after this fact, and abandoning Jimmy and leaving Jimmy behind to a certain extent. Do you think that's a chance of that?
I seen that happen in real life, actually, in my friend, and I'll tell the story really fast. It really happened in my life in Queens. I knew a guy who was one of the biggest drug dealers in my neighborhood. He had beef with this one dude. The dude was hiding out in this girl's house. He found out about it. He literally, and this is not a girl who was in the game or not, and this is a Mary Sue white girl. He goes in there, he kicks this girl's condo's door in, beats the shit out this dude right in front of her.
Ooh.
And then somehow he winds up dating this chick for the next 3 years.
Yep. Yeah, shit like that happens.
Right. So that's a real life situation that really happened. Yes, a guy kicked in your door. You have no idea. Pulled the gun out on you and the guy you had hiding out in your house. Beats the shit of this guy, and you wind up dating him. So I've seen it happen in real life. Right. It really happened. Can she fall in love with Lalo at this? I don't know if they would do it, though I've seen it in real life and know it's plausible. I don't know if they would go that way with it, because I don't think that she wants to get Jimmy killed in any way. I just think she wants the money and the go.
Right. She wants the money, the freedom, all of that. I do want to get what Sterling says here in season 4, episode 5, in the flash forward thing that we get in The Office. Saul tells Francesca to call someone on his birthday at exactly 3 p.m. Who could that be? Kim. I've always thought that was Kim who
it has to be Kim, because it's his birthday. He's turning 50. Who else would you want to speak? Is there a man that you need to speak to on your birthday? There's no way you want to speak to a man. The only person you're going to want to speak to. And at that particular time, and if you look at my video, I put a video out breaking down all those gene scenes and everything else. I have them all in order. Every gene scene that happened in order, all the way through. And I break it down. I give you all the clues that lead all the way up.
And you also talk about the Breaking Bad scene, that particular scene with Francesca as well. That's a Breaking Bad. What's interesting about that scene, just a little side note on that, they actually brought out the Breaking Bad cameras to shoot that scene. To shoot it in that style, like it's film instead of video. Like Better Call Saul's all shot on video. They brought out the film cameras to shoot that. They rebuilt the sets. They got way into recreating the Breaking Bad kind of feel for that episode, which is really awesome.
So I don't think so. People are like, oh, I know people said in the comment section were like, oh, if Francesca wouldn't care if it was Kim calling one, she doesn't want to do it. I said, no, if it's they're on land, these people, and she's the conduit between them. It's obvious that he's scared of the police when he's in the gene scene. It's always the police that he's looking at. Always the police. When he was stuck inside and he locked himself out, he could have left that room, but it said right on the door, hey, if you hit this door, the cops are going to be called. So he decided he had no choice but to sit there. You know, when the cab driver comes to him, he looks over, he looks directly at the police. So that's why he agrees to sing the jingle for him. Because he doesn't want the cops involved. So obviously he's on the lam from the cops. Francesca doesn't want to get involved because of the cops being involved, right? So there's something going on. Now, is it they're on the run for the murder of Howard? Is that why they're running? Is it because that's come together and now all of a sudden they're getting blamed for that? And that's
you mean in the Francesca scene with everything's coming out there?
Yeah, but
I think it's the Walter. No, I think it's the Walter. I think that's supposed to be post Walter when everything has come down. When Saul's name probably came out, they dug into it and the shit's walking down. But it could be. But you're right. We don't know when that is exactly. It could be any time.
Yeah, and he's shredding a lot of documents too. So there has to be something in some type of paperwork that they're afraid of getting into the wrong hands at that particular time.
Of course, Kevin, I had to put this on because you gave me the compliment. Phil,
go right ahead.
It's a wig. It's a wig. I lost my hair a long time ago. Did you guys see on IMDb? There's a character called Daughter. Do you think that it's possibly Kim's daughter? I did not see that. I did not see the IMDb thing with the. You mean it's credited in the next half? Someone named Daughter. I don't think there's enough time necessarily for them to set up a situation like that. But what they could do, again, I mentioned this earlier, they were hinting at that there's going to be another Kim flashback scene. There could be a situation where maybe she has a daughter and her mother steals it away. Like there's some situation where her mother uses her daughter in a con, gets her daughter killed. There could be some tragic shit going on in a flashback where we see that Kim does have a daughter in the past. But I don't think we're going to get to a point with her and Saul having a kid. I don't think we have that kind of time.
No, they're never going to have it. He's 50 fucking years old, man. He's not having a kid at 50. You know what I mean? 50. I mean, yes, do rich people have kids at 50? Yes, they do. But she's in her 30s, I think, right? She's supposed to be in her 30s. So
in reality, though, and I'm not one to just like go here, but Ray Seahorn is just turned 50. She's playing a character that's probably in her late, like I would say, like if you asked me, I would say she was in her early 30s. Or something like that, but she just turned 50 this year. So, but I think the character's probably supposed to be in her late 30s, early 40s, something like
Jack,
that.
you see, men can make babies. Yeah, men can do what they want. I'm not saying they don't, and that's a fucked up statement that I'm saying. But yes, I've known guys, but usually rich men who have kids later on in life when they marry younger wives. You know what I mean? And they have that baby later on in life, you know, and then that's when the baby gets teased when they go to school and says, "Is that your dad or your grandfather?" You know, that I've seen that happen and stuff like that, you know. But I think that when dealing with that, I don't think it could be her daughter from earlier. She had, you know, they show her a little bit older with her mom, 16. She gets knocked up. The mom takes the baby for her.
Yeah, something like that.
You know what I mean? It would have to be a situation like that. I don't think it's going to be their child. I don't think that. I think that in the Gene scenes, if he had a child with her, they would have had to show at least a picture of a child in that box or something to you know, that you don't know what it is. They would have had to give you a hint in that Gene scene.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Let's see. Let's see. I said something. It would make so much sense when in Breaking Bad we see Saul absolutely scared and screaming when he sees the hole for his body because he remembers the day of Howard's death. Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense when Jesse was attacking him and all of that stuff. I think the more we're seeing of stuff that happens makes a lot of sense to how Saul is affected. But Bob Odenkirk admits directly, and we'll get back to Kim in a second. Bob Odenkirk admits directly on many occasions he loved to say that all that stuff was set up, but when he was playing Saul in Breaking Bad, he was doing it on the verge of a Mr. Show character. Like he's playing the classic Bob Odenkirk, comes to your show and does like comedy, blah, blah, blah. He had no clue we're going to get all of this. So he says when he plays Saul now in those scenes when we're seeing Saul being Saul, he can't help but have the history of everything that goes with it now because he knows everything that Jimmy's been through. So it's interesting to think that the Saul that we saw on Breaking Bad, I keep saying this though, is we only see him directly through Jesse and Walt's perspective. And it's easy to just not get into what's really going on when you deal with someone that just, and think about that in the reality of some people you know in life that deal with everything with like a comedic little one-liner. You know, you try to talk to them about something and they're like, yeah, that's zoo. Yeah. And they kind of dissuade everything. You can't actually talk to them about anything. And you don't really know what's going on in their life. That's what Saul is in Breaking Bad. We don't know any of this, but all of this is definitely possible. That puts this block up. And I think anything that happens with Kim is equal to that. And I think I agree with Tony. And I think if we're talking about, okay, so Kim, we see Kim and Jimmy deal with the situation with the body. They theoretically, and we're just sketching this out here, theoretically, they deal with setting up a suicide situation where they call it in, they do this. Lalo has some sort of plan or plot for Jimmy and Kim to do. How do you sketch out what happens next with Kim? Is Kim all in on this? Is Kim dealing with a little post-traumatic stress because of seeing the Howard situation? Or do you think she hits the ground running with this, Tony?
I think that the number one thing she's gonna have to deal with is that, all right, so she lied. She knew he was alive. And
right. Okay. Yeah. I forgot to mention that. And we haven't said that tonight. Is Jim, how can she be outed for that? Is she going to lean into the lie and act like she didn't know, or is she going to admit the truth? That's the big question. People in the chat, I'd love to know what everyone thinks about. If you want to call in and leave us your answer to this, it's a good question to answer. 781.
There's no other way for him to find out at that particular time.
Right, like Lalo's not going to say, you knew I was alive. The only person who knows
you knew, Kim.
The only person that knows is Mike, and Mike's not around. Like, yeah, you knew, Kim, I was alive. Why are you surprised to see me?
Now, why are you acting like I'm your surprise, bitch? You knew I was coming up in this
So Michael Miles in the live chat says she's got to keep the lie. So if you're this far in a lie, is your only choice to go all in with it, Tony? Do you have to go with the lie?
You would think that she keeps her shit together, but there's a dead body in her fucking living room right now.
Right.
And when there's a dead body of a coworker, it's just not any dead body, right? This is a highly important dead body in your fucking living room right after you finish fucking your husband, right? So because you conned this dude.
Right, because you're pretty much, and you're the one at fault for this dead body.
Yeah, he's dead because of you, what you did, and now he's dead.
And Tony, I know there's certain people in your life, just like I have certain people in my life that you have issues with, you have problems with. You might want to con, you might want to fuck over, you might want to do something, but you don't want to see those motherfuckers dead. And I don't think she wanted to see Howard dead.
No, that was not what they wanted. They just wanted to fuck him over and make him live with it, and know that he got the whole thing that they were showing is he knew they fucked him over. Yeah, they knew he knew, and they just wanted to play with him like, we did it.
That's the best though, and I get that so much because sometimes, and Howard even calls him on it. It's so true. You're losing money doing this. You didn't do this for money. They did this for the Joker reasons. They just wanted to do it for sport.
That's it, and that's why when you want to see the world burn, as you keep going with the Joker reference, that it comes back to bite you, and that's why this has to come back to bite them in the end. What up to my man Fernandez T in the building, rocking with us as always and everything else. So as Michael Miles,
I love you, Kevin.
Does she have to keep the lie? I think that she should, but does she at this particular time? Does she let it slip somehow that she knew? And he's like, what did you say? You knew he was alive?
I think he has to find out.
He's got to find out.
I think this show is too good to not let us see the reaction that Jimmy's going to have, because Jimmy's never exploded on Kim in anger. We've seen him explode on Chuck. We've seen him explode in different situations on Howard, like give Howard the full Jimmy. We have never seen a point where Jimmy rips Kim apart in like frustration. And this might be the breaking point that we see that.
And this could be the reason why she says, fuck you.
Yeah, because if he goes...
I've done everything for you.
100%, Tony.
And I'm trying to protect you. And you have the nerve when we have a fucking dead body in my house to fucking try to scream on me. Fuck you, I'm out. This could be that. This could be him doing that.
It's going to be hard for them to come back from this either way. I mean, Tony, you and I are good friends, but if we're hanging out in a room and then Bridge gets shot in front of us, like it's going to be tough to continue our friendship after that.
Yeah, no, I mean, we'll take care.
I mean, we'll take care. Bridge. We love you, Bridge. We don't have you, Bridge.
What Bridge?
I just wanted to pick the third usual suspect.
We love Bridge for him.
Yeah, he's here in spirit.
Wish he was here rocking with us right now.
He's gonna pop in, right? He's gonna be I'm right here in the chat, guys.
We love Bridge. No, we have to keep it going.
But you know what I mean? Like, if we're in the situation like that, it's going to affect our relationship. Like, if it's a situation where we have to lie about it, we have to set up a situation, no matter how close we are.
Let's say if you knew someone who did off Bridge and you didn't tell me,
right?
And I'm over here thinking that what happened, then all of a sudden you bring it up. Well, I knew all this time.
Oh shit! I should have told you, Tony, that AK was alive. I should have told you that AK. Sorry, AK.
Then it would be an issue. Like, motherfucker, you knew this whole time and you didn't tell me.
you know she was gonna kill Bridge. Sorry, AK and Bridge. I'm just using you guys as an example because I want to mention you on the show. That's it.
Yeah. So yeah, that would be if it was something like that. But yeah, that definitely has to come up. That has to be the next thing, because the first hurdle is to dealing with the Howard situation. That's the first hurdle, and this Lalo situation goes hand in hand with it and everything else,
Now, this is a question from Trandview. We've seen two characters transfer hot lead right from the temple through the left. Rule of 3. Who is the next to receive that treatment? Will we see a third dead in the head character by the end of these episodes? Will that gun literally Gus's Chekhov's gun in the lab? Will that be the gun that kills Lalo as a final situation? Will that gun play into it? Will Lalo end up being that person? I guess we only have two choices, because we know this show has done an amazing thing. And I'm going to talk about this again in a different video or something, but this show has done something that no other show has ever done, in the sense of a drama, creating this kind of drama for something that we know half the cast where they end up. So there's only really two people that we could really say are the chance to get that gunshot, and that's Lalo and Kim. So I do think there's a high percentage chance, if I'm putting money here on the board, that Lalo's the guy that gets that gunshot. But I don't know if it's going to be that simple for Lalo. We'll definitely do a stream about Lalo, Tony and I, and I'm going to do a big stream on my channel about all, like, just quickly do on all characters with Tony, maybe have a couple of other guests too on that as well if we can. But I would say Lalo's the best chance of that. Tony, do you think we'll see a third killed person?
Yeah. So there's basically a couple of ways you could look at this situation and how you know it's going to go down.
I know I'm very obvious. It's Lalo's the obvious answer.
All right, it's like this. There's an old adage you get: if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So if you live by Lalo's killed somebody by the gun, most likely that's how you're going to get taken out. We've seen that happen in Ozark, right? We just seen it happen in Ozark, right? She was on a terror trail. She didn't have to go out there. She could have let it go. She couldn't let it go. Ruth goes out there. She does the job, and eventually she pays for it in the end. She could have broken the Lane Moore curse, right?
And she could have not been stupid and walked up to the car of the fucking cartel that she knew was the actual car for the cartel, and not acted like an idiot for the first time in the whole entire season. But whatever, we'll talk about it.
She had to, because from the beginning, she's always told you that her family was cursed, and even though she had the way out, she was cursed with what she did.
Right. Self-fulfilling prophecy.
That's just the way it is. So when you deal with a situation like that, and I just talked to my sister about this earlier today, actually, dealing with boxers, if you ever look at any boxer who knocks people out, when they lose, they get knocked out.
Yep.
You can go through the history of boxing. The greatest knockout artist in the world, who is known for hitting people and knocking them silly, Mike Tyson. Every time you look at them, when they lose, they get knocked out. Why? I don't know. Some type of karma situation. Deontay Wilder, Mike Tyson, George Foreman,
Joe Frazier,
Ken Norton, Joe Frazier. Go through the history of them all. It doesn't matter who. When you are known as a knockout, yeah, he didn't lose.
No, and he wasn't a knockout artist. I guess he was more of a.
He didn't lose, but when you're known for that, that's what happened. Ronda Rousey, you know what I mean? Go through them all.
Prince Nassim Hamed, Roy Jones Jr. Even.
Yeah, all of them. Anyone you go through, this is what happens. So I think that's he's going to get. If anyone is going to get
Conor
it,
McGregor.
it seems simple, and it seems like the way it's supposed to go. And always bet on simple, because a lot of people, the rule of keep it simple, stupid always applies. Don't think outside the box too much, because that's what makes you think, oh, this is too simple to happen. They're not going to write it. He's going to get whacked. How he's going to get whacked? He's going to die, Lalo. And most likely he's going to get the gun. My man Q's got a super chat. Thank you very much.
Will we get another sequel prequel in this world, or is it dead after the second one drops? Rest in peace to my man Ninja Nacho. Yeah, Nacho, we obviously, even though it's not going into the future, I wouldn't mind somewhere on one of our 2 channels doing some sort of Nacho appreciation video. But great job by Michael Mondo on the way out. And do I think there's going to be more in this universe? No. And I don't think they're going to try to milk this universe too much. And I think everything that they've been saying is...
Wait, real quick. I mean, is not AMC known for the milkiest network?
But they don't own this shit. They're Vince won't let them do it. Vince and Peter will not let them do it. They will only do something in this universe if they absolutely have a good story to tell. But yes, Tony, AMC is the milkiest milkers of they kill the cow. They're
on the udder.
Yeah,
they got their mouth on the udder. But money fucking talks, Phil. If AMC throws a fucking more money than they've ever seen in their fucking life.
No, I believe Vince and Peter have more credibility than that, and they're gonna go and do different projects now. And I think this is the last we'll see of this particular universe.
I just think that when someone comes to you and says, "Here's a suitcase of $200 million,"
Chappelle didn't take it. They're like Chappelle's. They're not going to take it. They got begged. They got begged to do more Breaking Bad, and Vince was like, "No, 5 seasons. That 4 seasons. That's it. All I got is 5 seasons." They were like, "No, we need 10 seasons of Breaking Bad. We need to do the Breaking Bad lunchbox." And they were like, "Nope, we're just ending it." Yes, Better Call Saul is the milk. I'm not saying there's definitely
El Camino too, right?
El Camino as well, which I think ties the room together. It's like the rug that ties the two together. I would be surprised if we see it anytime soon. I'm not saying never, okay? Maybe I just said never, but I don't mean never. I think initially what's going to happen is Vince is going to be working on a new project. I think they're doing a Western, I believe, is the next thing that they're working on. And we'll see what kind of success that happens. I mean, Kurt Sutter, we'll just say Sons of Anarchy is no freaking Breaking Bad, but it's a great show. Kurt Sutter wanted to do stuff outside that universe, said he wasn't going to come back to that universe for a long time. Tried the Bastard Executioner. That was a fart blossom of crap.
And that does happen, Phil. I want to go off it. I want to do a Western.
And then they ran back and did Mayan.
Exactly, but then that shit don't hit. And then all of a sudden, like, hey, I got to go back. It's like a lot of actors. You know, the actor Chris Evans, who, Captain America. I'm sick of playing Captain America. I want to do it. What have you done since Captain America?
But I'll do the Human Torch.
Yeah, maybe you should have stayed your ass as Captain America, because I ain't seen a hit. I'll say the biggest one that I could say from sitcoms. We talk about sitcoms is Shelley Long, right? She left the hit show Cheers, thinking she was going to be this big ass movie star. Because of it, she does Night Shift. Right?
Hello again. There was Hello Again.
But that was the first show, was Night Shift, where she played a prostitute with Henry Winkler and Beetlejuice in this motherfucker, and never makes it and they go in and bring in Rebecca and don't skip a beat, and her career has never been the same ever since that choice.
I hear you.
Doing that right now? Are they actually fucking themselves over? Because I think when the money comes and you got this world, you got this universe, do you say, listen, let me do something for a year. If it doesn't work out, give me the 200, give me the bag. Let me take the bag. There's a family they got and everything else. Take the bag and let's just do something else.
Tony, I hear what you're saying, and I understand it 100%. I think most people would take that bag. I think Vince and Peter are made of sterner stuff. I think they're the kind of dudes that more care about that artistic high. They got the money that they want. They are going to make it off Breaking Bad for the rest of their lives. They're going to be able to do passion projects. We're dealing with like the anti Dan and Dave here. We're dealing with like two guys that care so much about the project in the world and not soiling it. You listen to them talk about it. They take pride in this shit. They take pride in not doing things unless it has meaning. And I think no amount of money that AMC could throw at them would get them to do something if they didn't love what they were doing. Not a Kim spinoff about her early days, not a Gus spinoff that people are talking about, unless they think, and they've said this before, some stuff is better not known. Some stuff is better talked about. If you know everything, it takes away some of the value of it. And I think there is something to be said about that. I would be surprised if we see anything else in this universe anytime soon. I don't see these guys being the types that are going to like recast, do a Mike police show of him on the police force, like with a younger actor. I don't know. I don't see it. I see this being the end of the Breaking Bad universe with this show.
Let me say what up to Angelina Hi, all the way from across the pond. What up, baby girl? Thank you for stopping by. Truly appreciate. Michelle Hayes says, surprisingly, I agree with you, Tony. Yes, I'm just as shocked as you. As you should be shocked that finally you have come on the right side of something. How does it feel being on the right side of something after?
Oh yeah, I mean, we can get the Skinny Pete and Badger, and I think, I don't know, Tony. I mean, I see what you're saying. Money, everything around me, crew, get the dog. Like most people will, but I think these guys care more about legacy than they want to go out on top. You know, they want to go out being last shot, walking away.
Pay the bills though. In the
end, they already have the money to pay the bills because they already made the greatest series of all time with Breaking Bad. And they're
how much they get paid for that series? I don't know. I got to see what books. Fair. I don't know. Number two, I don't know if that's a great series of all time. I would contest The Wire.
The Wire, different podcasts,
different time. The Wire is better than it. We can have that argument. We can have a debate.
We've talked about that before. We'll talk about it before. And I bet some Soprano fans.
And there's a good chance that this series may be better than Breaking Bad.
Yes.
Right. You know, so I wouldn't say it's great, but it all depends. Usually, your first series, you don't get paid all that much money. Dan and Dave are the exception to the rule. You know what I mean? That they made a shit ton of money on game.
You got to remember too that Vince also ran the X-Files for the second half of the run. He was one of the showrunners of X-Files. He made a ton of cash on that show too, and he probably made money from the X-Files movie and the property, and he has points in that. So I think they're doing pretty good. I'm
not saying they're broke; they're doing great. But I'm saying $100 million, $200 million in your face is you know, people take that shit.
Exactly. I want to put this comment up because yes, they're like fucking Chappelle. I have to agree with Phil. Vince did say he was asked to make 3 more episodes of Breaking Bad. I've heard this before, for $25 million per episode, and Vince said, "Fuck no."
All right, but that's different. So I agree. 25 million per. Now you're saying per episode. Is that in your pocket, or is that what you're gonna have for the budget for the episode? That's a big difference.
Yeah, fair. Good point, Tony.
It's a big difference. If they're saying we're going to give you $75 million for 3 60-minute episodes, you're going to take that money, man. Your wife's going to smack you in the face and say, "What the fuck are you thinking? You better get your ass to that thinking. Write that shit, motherfucker." You know what I mean? So, yes, maybe for the episode and the budget, he would turn it down. But if that's the money in your motherfucking pocket, that's a big difference.
If they so you're saying if AMC is like, oh my God, okay, so let's do the perfect universe that we get, and we're gonna get back to Kim's stuff too. We got a voicemail waiting right here, but overall, this is our first chance to really get to talk about this show. So we're kind of bouncing all over the place, and we encourage it in the chat if you have other directions as we're getting to like the back half of the show here. So
and definitely call in. Yeah, you know the number 781-990-8509. Call in and let us know what's going on.
We do have a voicemail in the point, but I do want to ask you one question here. So you're saying like in this what if scenario, Better Call Saul ends strong. The buzz is like everyone's Vince universe, crazy, amazing. They did it again. They stuck 2 landings. Oh my goodness. The opposite of Dexter. They actually hit 2 endings in the universe. Really awesome. They did it. We need more. We need that Gus spinoff. We need that Gus and Mike in the olden days spinoff or something. You know, we need more in this universe.
We need young Lalo.
Right. We need a Lalo show. Yeah, we need the early Lalo years with this guy playing him, Tony Dalton playing him because he's killing it. We need more. We need more. We need more. And they offer them like some ungodly, again, I'm going to say like Chappelle show, final season type numbers. You think these guys can't help but take it?
Yes. I just think it's human nature because the bottom line is you can only rest so long on your laurels, right? You can look at everybody. If that's the case, then some movie director who directs the greatest movie of all time and is known for that, say Steven Spielberg, who's the greatest director of all time, he does E.T., he's just, it's the greatest movie, you're winning all these Oscars. He doesn't get out the game and say, all right, hey, I just want.
But he didn't do E.T. too. They tried to get him to do E.T. too. He said no.
He didn't say that, but he went to Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
right?
He did. They did Jones.
He didn't get out the game. He went. So I would just say that when you're dealing with TV shows and stuff like that, you can go back to all the great TV show creators, whether it's the guy who, think of his name right now, who created Laverne and Shirley and Happy Days. Gary Marshall.
Is it Gary Marshall?
Marshall.
Norman Lear.
You could have just stopped and said, hey, I'm done right here. I'm done right now. We did Happy Days were great. No, he said, let's do Laverne and Shirley. Let's do Mork and Mindy. Let's keep it going. No, I got the sauce.
Dude, same with like Norman Lear. He didn't just say All in the Family. He's like, All in the Family. George Jefferson's topic. We got to do the fucking Jeffersons. We got to do this. We got to do that. We got to do Maude. We got to do whatever. Like he just kept adding on to his universe too and his shows too.
I think that's what it'll come down to. Maybe they're saying right at this particular time, but I think if they offered that, and AMC got shit right now. This is it.
I hear you. I think they're more at the point where if they come off this high, they're going to be able to do other passion projects, make their bank doing whatever they want now, and then go easy into retirement doing passion projects for the rest of their life. I think this might equal. We'll see what they do afterwards. To me, I think this is the last, but we'll have to see. Either way.
And you got to look at the actors, right? So the actors have to be willing to come back. What roles do the actors have after this? I mean, what are they going to do? Is Kim going to be some great actress in movies after this? I would hope they all have fine success.
I mean, when it comes down to it,
how many sitcom actors have actually found great success after a hit TV show?
Princeton's continue to work. Aaron Paul continues to work. They get. I don't think I have to necessarily worry because, to your point, Tony, I don't think you have to worry about Bob Odenkirk. He'll work the rest of his life. Mr. Show, all his bit parts. He's a comedic genius, a legend. But the ones three you have to worry about from Better Call Saul and to see will they have careers after this is Nacho, is Lalo, and Kim. The three of them. Where will their careers go after that? Will they get other big parts? Mm-hmm. Will especially someone like Michael Mondo, where Nacho was such an excellent role for him, and you hear him talking about it, and he fears he might never get another role as amazing as Nacho again. And it's true. And if someone like him and people are like, oh, we'd love to see more Nacho, give us a Nacho series. Give us a Nacho series.
Nacho show.
Give us a Nacho. Will we get
Nacho show? Right? I mean, when you go look at it, I mean, Ted Danson. I mean, for people, and I'm judging by people who had the top shows. The cast from MASH, maybe one person out of that cast from MASH took off after that. Hot Loose Lips Houlihan, nothing. You know what I mean? When you look at the cast, maybe one person. When you look at Cheers, I'll say two people out of that, right? You got Ted Danson and Kelsey Grammer out of that show.
Kelsey Grammer became famous for the same character. You could say that.
But out of his show with Frasier, no one out of that show did anything significant
I mean,
off of that show.
David Hyde Pierce was in one of the 2 Hellboy movies. Like I
All
said.
right.
Tony, we do have some voicemails. Area code 985.
Hey, Phil, Tony, this is Kevin. I'm on a live chat right now, calling from South Louisiana. But the bottle top from the
before we play this message, I just need to say it because I want to say it before people are screaming into the live chat on us. Yes, Woody Harrelson is the best example. Woody Harrelson is
all right. Wait, Woody Harrelson definitely became more than he was in the show, but he wasn't the star player.
No. But he's probably. But I just wanted to say that before I played the message, before people are shouting at the stream. What about Woody, guys? Yeah, Woody.
Yeah, Woody. Definitely Woody. Woody definitely did his thing, but in reality, all right, of that, he had 2 big movies. Right after that, after he had Natural Born Killers, which blew him up, right, and then after that he had Indecent Proposal
and People versus Larry Flint was pretty big for him,
and People versus Larry. Yes, without doubt, those 3. Everything else is secondary.
I guess White Man Can't Jump was pretty big for him too. But
you know what? You're right. I forgot about White Man Can't Jump.
I mean that movie was pretty. That movie was started the whole Woody and Wesley. Or didn't start. They were in Wildcats together too.
Yeah, yes. All right. I can't deny Woody.
Yeah, you got to give Woody his flowers.
I got to give him flowers. Woody definitely jumped up, but the point I was making is that
Kingpin, he's amazing.
Yeah,
amazing Kingpin.
Fuck you, Michelle Hayes. Yes, Kingpin. What I say is that most people from hit shows, when you look at them, they don't look at the cast of Friends, biggest show on television. Look at Seinfeld. Elaine Bettis is the one who jumped off of that. You know what I mean? No one else really.
And that's just because she's an amazing professional that was famous before, like she was doing shit before too.
She was rich before that.
She's fucking crazy rich.
Filthy rich.
Filthy rich.
All right, let's go.
I mean, she was on the Saturday Night Live cast with Eddie Murphy too. Like she's been around forever. But anyways, here we go.
All right, Kevin.
Hey, Phil, Tony, this is Kevin. I'm on a live chat right now, calling from South Louisiana. But the bottle top from the tequila that they drink, I can't think of the name of it.
Yep.
But when Saul went and purchased it and left it behind, the employee told him, "Be careful with the bottle top; it's sharp." And we all know in the beginning of season 6, this falls off the cabinet when they're emptying his house. Kim's always had a thing for it. Seems like you think that might be a murder weapon, a potential murder weapon, and if so, would Kim be the killer and Lalo the victim, maybe? Or let me know. Thanks, guys.
I think there's more of a chance of Kim killing Lalo than Jimmy.
I think that you can't see Kim do it, and Jimmy can't know about it. He doesn't know about it in Breaking Bad. He thinks that he's kidnapped by Lalo, that Lalo sends you, right? So not only does he think he's kidnapped by Lalo, he thinks Lalo has enough juice to have people
Tony,
after him, right?
Could Kim set up Lalo with Mike? Like she's already talked to Mike earlier, where Mike says if Lalo says anything to you or you find him, I'm looking for him. Could Kim contact Mike clandestinely and try to set up Lalo to be taken down through Mike?
I got distracted with the thing going on.
Oh, sorry. So what I'm saying is Kim has already talked to Mike about Lalo. Well, Mike's the one that told her that Lalo was alive. At this point right now, could Kim turn to Mike and work with Mike to set up Lalo behind Jimmy's back? Like Kim starts working with Mike and Gus behind Jimmy's back to set up Lalo while Jimmy's working with Lalo.
It's got to have something to do with Gus. Gus has to, Gus is who he is, and Mike. So I think yes, that if it was gonna go, it has to have something to do
because she needs to. I think in some way, shape, or form, Mike has already talked to her, and she kind of trusts Mike or got an interesting feel from him. Is she going to turn to him now when she gets an opportunity, not to clean up the body necessarily, as some people have said initially, But after Lalo gives her and Jimmy their walking orders of what he needs from them to do, then does she turn and immediately find an opportunity to contact Mike and say, Lalo just contacted us. You need to help us. He's setting us up for something and we're going to get killed by him. You need to do something and take Lalo down.
But the whole thing is, it has to be in a way that Jimmy has no idea.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's all going to be behind Jimmy's back.
So that would be the way. How do they get? Because you would think like you would say this guy's always going to be behind the back, because that's what he's thinking, right? Jimmy's thinking this guy's always going to be looking over our shoulder. How do you actually get away from that whole situation with him and do that without him knowing whatsoever, finding out about it? How do they pull that off? That would be the problem. But as for them doing that, yes, I could 100% see them going through that situation and it playing out that way.
And Mike says, the actress that plays Kim is invisible. She's so good. I never see her acting. She's just Kim. That's excellently put.
Listen, and I want y'all to know, I'm not discrediting anyone.
No, you're just speaking truths. I mean, nobody in the world, I'm sorry, if we're talking about a lot of different things all over the place, but it's just part of it here. If we're talking about greatest television shows of all time, which it's amazing to say this, that a spin-off series called Better Call Saul is in this discussion. For me and Tony, who are both very prickly with our talks here of best show of all time, the fact that we're even bringing the discussion in is very, very important. So let's take a show like Seinfeld, which is arguably one of the greatest sitcoms of all time. No one could say that Jason Alexander playing a version of Larry David isn't one of the greatest performances of all time in a sitcom. He's had trouble finding legitimate work, not on stage. He still performs. He makes a living, but find that other great role. They tried different vehicles from it. Is it because Jason Alexander isn't talented? No. Michael Imperioli has found bit parts here and there after playing Christopher Moltisanti on The Sopranos. It's tough to find great roles. The guy that played Omar found a great role on Boardwalk Empire, but it's tough. It doesn't always happen where characters can get multiple. It seems like someone like Christopher Walken has 1,000 amazing roles. He keeps popping up. He pops up on freaking what do you call it? The Ben Stiller show on Apple TV this season.
Oh, the separated people.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. The break my brain in half show.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you know what I'm
we just cover that show, and it's my fault that we didn't.
The other greatest show on one of the other greatest shows on television right now. But Frasier was dope. And that's the comparison to this. And this in Frasier, I think, are the two best spinoffs of all time. Severance.
Thank you very much, Julianne. Severance. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. We were playing the $25,000 pyramid there, Tony. Let's give our brains a break and play our other voicemail here. This is area code 410.
Hey, it's a Q Dog, Quentin Gilliam, out of Baltimore, Maryland. We'll say what's up for the issues, guys.
Welcome, fam.
Don Tony Teflon. Hey, look, man, I love this show. I love Breaking Bad. I love Better Call Saul. But like I said in the chat, if they kill off Kim, it's gonna leave a sour taste in my mouth, because Kim is a ride or die. And man, if you get a ride or die, man, and you lose it, it's man, it's hard to replace. So something happens to Kim, even if Saul or Glenn or whoever his name is, whatever name he gets, if he escapes or whatever,
Gene,
man, he ain't never gonna find another one like Kim, yo. She a real one. So that's all I gotta say. All right, peace out, y'all. Peace.
Great.
Oh, and Phil, man, yo, let me room for the Celtics, man. I don't like that.
I agree with you on that
one. You love it. You love it.
I gotta go with you on that one.
You love it. Tomorrow night it starts. We're gonna get. I'm scared as hell. Steph's gonna average 50 every day.
Yeah, but I would say that he's right in that. I just don't think that it works for her character of her dying. After all she's been through, for her to get killed just wouldn't be the way to go about it. In the end, I think when you deal with Kim, she has to flip on Saul.
Okay, you just said that as I put this up on the screen. Dave B, recovering conspiracy theorist, great name. I think Saul is going to betray Kim. So he's taking the opposite route as you.
No.
And I will say, I'm going to say the stupidest thing of all time. One of those two things is going to happen. But will it get to a point where they're battling each other? Where I think there's an episode called Wexler versus McGill. I could be making that up, but I feel like one of the episodes I read is titled Wexler versus McGill. Are they going to become adversaries in this back half episode, Tony? Is Kim going to so you think Kim will screw over Saul? Could you see it going either direction, or are you hard pressed that you think she's going to be the one to fuck over him?
I think the con man always gets conned in the end by the better con person. And, she's a con woman. And I think it's usually the woman where you don't see it coming.
Yep.
Is what happens. I think that it's quite possible that when we see the taxi cab driver, that she has something to do with this whole situation with the taxi cab driver. There's a way you could spin it that she does. I mean, when you look at the air freshener he has in his taxi cab, we've seen her have that same shit in the show already. So this is not a air freshener we never seen before. She had that air freshener, the exact same one she had. So that could be coincidence. Out of it could be, but I think it could be her trying to get back at this dude for some reason. Somehow this perfect relationship has to break up, and the start of this relationship breaking up is the death of Howard. Yeah, it has to be, and that's how it all goes down. Because when you see the final shot that you see, and you see, you hear him say, "Well, I guess that's how it all ends. A happy ending." And it's of their apartment, and they put that in black and white. I think they're really trying to show you that this is unattainable. This is what he wished was the perfect ending.
Right, the perfect situation.
That he'll never have this again. This is all over. That this whole life we had, it's all over. I had the woman I loved. I had the woman that was there for me, and I fucked it up somehow.
I agree, Tony. I think the peak of their relationship ends up being the moment that we see them right before Howard comes in, or kicking Howard out. Like at that moment where they think they're as high as they could be on the horse, so to speak, and the high road of we overcame you, Howard. We beat you. You know it. We got away with it. Get out of our house. We're calling you a cab. Go home. Go home. You're drunk, Howard. Get out of here. And at the inciting moment of Lalo doing that is going to destroy everything. And it's going to be two hungry dogs at the end here picking for scraps as their life and their food supply of existence falls apart. And I think that's what you're going to see here. You're going to see true nature kind of situations. And to your point, you look at a movie like Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, who wins in the end? Not Michael Caine or Steve Martin. They underestimate their lover Fred, who outcons both of them. So we could see a similar situation where Jimmy thinks he's getting the best, and eventually he gets Dirty Rotten Scoundreled.
No, it's BCS 1980 says, no, I think Kim is a calm artist. She isn't no good, and she believes, I believe she faked her marriage to Jimmy. She definitely would do something to Jimmy. Yeah, I think in the end, yeah, he would get listen, I keep bringing up personal situations and stuff like that.
Tony, it's that kind of show. Just before you hold that story, but it's like what makes this show good is it's real humans.
I was in the situation with this one dude. There was this chick. I'm not gonna say her name. We were in the bar, and I was hanging out with her. And then this other dude I knew, he seen me hanging out. For some reason, she asked him to play a darts with us, and then he wouldn't leave. Right, and now it's me and him with this one girl, and it was just a ridiculous. Like I felt like I got to write a movie about it. I'm not gonna go into details, but it was ridiculous. Like basically before the night was over, I was holding one of her hands, he was holding the other hand, and we were walking through the rain, skipping together.
Now, Tony,
it was like we weren't trying. Like he wasn't even trying to piss with me in the other room. I wasn't trying to piss. It was a dumb situation. And at the end of it all, when it all said and done, her husband came and picked her up, and we were just left standing there.
Tony, in that movie, the husband should be played by Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson. Sorry.
But what I'm saying is that situations like that do happen, and you get conned in the end.
Oh, totally.
When you're not thinking with the right head. And I think that's what's going to happen.
Tony, we've all done it. I mean, I feel like I'm a generally bright person. I got conned once when I was working in a convenience store behind the counter with some guy who bought he started ordering an odd amount of scratch tickets, and he started like fast talking. He was like, I'll get one of those, that's this amount of money, right? And I'm just like, I was high. I was not in the right frame of mind working and stuff like that. And I was just like, yeah, sure, dude. And the next morning they came in, checked the numbers of the scratch tickets. They're like, you're off a little bit, sir. And then they accused me of stealing it, but then they found out this guy was like going to convenience stores around and doing this scam, and he ended up being busted. And then they tried to get me to take my job back. And I'm like, fuck you. I told you I didn't steal. I just got caught and you fired me. You put me on suspension. I'm not coming back, assholes. But anyways.
Oh, I remember that. I felt like such an ass. Like when I was done, like I was like, what the fuck really happened last night? Did I really go through that situation? And it really is because the stupid motherfucker who shouldn't have been there to begin with, like, yo, you see me with this chick, get the fuck away, man. But he just would not fucking leave, this motherfucker. And it just turned to a dumb situation. We both got, in the end, got left holding our dicks. And she went home with her husband, and he's the one who got fucked, right? So that's what it was. My man, Big Kev, thank you for the super chat. Yeah, 70 degrees right now, and it's 6:47 p.m. And fuck you and your 70 degrees and over there.
Love you, Big Kev. Hope you get sucked out on tonight, Kev.
Yeah, Kev.
Hope you get the nuts and someone hits that straight flush on your nut flush, you douche. No, I'm kidding. Love you, Kev.
All right, my man Q, B More in the house. You know, big win for B More with Tank, who just knocked out Rolly. Big win for B More in there. I'm shutting down all theories about Kim doing dirt. Stop it. I repeat, ride or die. Yeah, there's a point though, Q, when you ride or die too much.
Yeah.
When you are willing to do that for someone, but you don't know if that person's willing to do it for you, where you can't take it anymore.
Do you think, Tony, that's a good question. So you're saying that Kim might be ride or die, but is Jimmy ride or die to Kim?
Not that we've seen. I mean, we haven't seen him tested to that point, I think.
If he is tested and finding out eventually that she knew about Lalo is going to be the first big, huge test to see if he is accepting of all things.
But is that enough? Even though she lied to him, is that enough to say, you know, he may flip out and say, you lied to me, blah, blah, but reality,
that and maybe working with Mike to try to set up Lalo and put Jimmy at danger in some ways, maybe. Could that be enough? Is there anything that could drive Jimmy away from Kim? Do you think he has the loyalty that she has shown to him? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm just asking the question to ask to the chat too. Do you think that Jimmy has the same kind of loyalty to Kim that Kim has shown to Jimmy? And I don't think Jimmy has loyalty to anybody personally, except for himself when it really comes down to it.
Only way I can deal with it is when you look at the Gene scene.
Missy says yes. Missy says yes.
Missy dislikes him. All right.
He's a good guy. Not Bob. We all like Bob Odenkirk. He's a sweetheart.
When we look at the Gene scenes and I look at him, he just seems so depressed in the situation that he's in. He seems so, you know, like distraught. It just seems like the way he's acting that he's blaming himself for the situation and everything. So I think that, you know, that because the way you see him when he puts that tape in and he looks at that tape, it just seems like I fucked this up. I lost this lifestyle. I did it. So somehow I think that he has to blame himself, and he put himself, not that he was fucked over. Like if he was sitting there and Kim fucked him over to the point that put him in here, that he would have a different look on his face.
Let's not forget who really put him in there. It's the bald bastard. Like, is he depressed because he's thinking that he fucked up, or is he thinking that he fucked up by working with Walter, by putting too much of his time and attention into Walter when he got bad signs from him? So is this about Kim that we see in the Gene timeline? Is it all to do with that, or is he also feeling we also have to bring the Breaking Bad baggage into Gene too, and think that he's also in that moment thinking that I'm so stupid for going all in with Walter to make big bank. So does that have to, and this goes into, does Kim get into the Breaking Bad stuff? Is she still around? Does she encourage him to work with Walter because this could be their big score or something like that? And then it has something to do with exactly what you said, where she is directly affected for the reason why he's in Cinnabon. I don't know. Again, these are just all amazing questions that we're in this point with 6 episodes left in the show, and it could go in any of these directions. It could go. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that you have to. I don't think Kim's story wraps up in the Better Call Saul. I think.
So you think
in the Gene thing.
So how many episodes would you speculate that we'd get in the complete Gene timeline? I think we're at least going to get one.
You're going to get one full.
One full. I think one for the last episode is probably
you get one full, but I think you'll get another flash.
So do you think they're going to start the first episode of the new 6 with a Gene, and then we're going to get, this is what I think. I'll tell you what I think, and you can tell me if you think I'm wrong. I think we're going to start off the beginning of 6 or part 2 with Gene, and then we're going to get the final episode all Gene.
You'll get the final episode of all Gene, but I don't know if you'll get a flash forward too. But I can't see you getting 2 episodes of Gene.
No, I don't think the first episode will be all Gene. I just think we're going to get the cold open as a Gene in the first episode back.
Yeah, you'll definitely get a flash forward to that. And then I think you will get one whole episode dealing with Gene.
And I think we'll also get a whole episode that's a single episode, just like we had an episode in Better Call Saul in Breaking Bad called Better Call Saul. I am just going to be that guy that's going to say, we're going to have a single episode of Better Call Saul that's named Breaking Bad. That's good. Might be the second to last episode that deals with the Walt situation, which shows Jimmy meeting Walt and going through all that and blah, 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 and goes through almost like the Godfather video game where you see everything from a different perspective and you see everything from Jimmy after his first meeting, seeing where Jimmy goes after that and dealing with that whole situation. I think we might see an episode in the second half called Breaking Bad.
I agree with you 100%. The Demented Mussolini,
good
FJB,
dude,
says that missing piece of Kim and Howard told her and Saul, and I'm about to say Sal again. People got on my ass for this.
Oh, yeah, it's like with Game of Thrones people. Phil, it's Aya, not Arya, you dummy. You know what I'm fucking saying? Shut up.
Like, Brienne. But in the audiobook, the guy says Brian. So you know what I mean? The audiobook guy is saying Brian. So what the fuck are you telling me?
Phil, it's Oberyn, not Oberyn, you idiot.
No, I'm from motherfucking New York. I know motherfuckers named Sal. I don't know many motherfuckers named Saul. And motherfuckers are one word difference. All right? One word. I mean, one letter. My bad. One letter fucking difference. That's it. All right, let's go. Kim Howard turns Saul about in 6 episode 7 is sexual healing. Lalo will fulfill that void, resulting to Kim and Lalo eloping. So we talked about this a little bit early in the show. Could Kim and Lalo, jump the broom, fall in love, and everything else, and be together? And would he be the same character? Thank you for the comment. That we've seen in Breaking Bad, if that happened to him.
No, I don't think that's possible. I do think the vacuum cleaner salesman thing is possible, but it could also be a red herring. They did show the card. I think in the second half we are going to see, Saul buying the black book from the pet detective there, from the veterinarian. So I do think the card will come into play, but I don't I don't know if it's too simple for Kim to just take the vacuum cleaner salesman. It seems like that would be, it makes a lot of sense. It might happen, but this is what I think happens. Again, I try to put myself in the writer's room of this situation when they're breaking the stories and be like, okay, we've had Walter use the vacuum cleaner salesman. We've had Jesse use the vacuum cleaner salesman. We've had Saul do it. Should we have Kim do it too? That would be too easy. That would be another character doing it. Let's think of a better situation for Kim that makes more sense for something. She wouldn't want to run away. Kim's not the type of person that's going to run away from her identity because of the X, Y, and Z. She's a fighter. She's going to stick around. Like I could just see them arguing that Kim's not going to do that. I think it's more of a Jessie situation where she might think about it, but then in the last minute change her mind about it. I don't think she's actually going to use and go away with the vacuum cleaner with that situation. I think that's going to be more of the red herring thing. So I don't know, but what do you think, Tone?
So you think that she's going to, if it came down to it, she'd go to jail before she ran away?
I think so. I think she would. I think she would have a hard time running away. She's not, I don't think she's, I'm saying this, and the more I say it as you put it out there, I'm going, because I'm thinking about Oz. I'm like, do I really want to go to Oz? I'm not. What would I do to not go to Oz? And I'm not going
to Oz,
dude. I would run
I'm not going to Oz. I'm not going. My ass is too big to be in Oz. Nope, it's not going to happen.
My hair is too. I'm too pretty to be in Oz, Tony.
I'm not going to Oz. I would not go to Oz.
Dude, I'm Beecher in the first season in Oz, all over the place.
No, I'm not going to Oz, boy. I come in there. They're gonna be
okay, a couple of people have been mentioning the diamonds. Tony, you think the diamonds have something to do with Kim, right?
Yeah, I think the diamonds, when it all came down, is he transferred the diamonds over, his money cash into diamonds, because it's just too hard to lug around all that money. You can't have all that money around. There's no way. So I think when it comes down to it, who did he transfer that money over to get, if that's the case, who did he get those diamonds from? That person actually knows he has those diamonds, and they could be trying to get those diamonds back and just, and okey doke him on it. So it definitely it could go down like that.
I think you might be onto something there. Someone said the actor that played the vacuum cleaner salesman, he did pass away. Rest in peace. But they could have shot some scenes with him during El Camino, knowing that they had him in that moment. So it is
or a phone call is all it has. You have someone with a similar voice. You make the phone call, you put the voice on the phone, and you never show the person. You wouldn't have to show them. I think you can get away with it doing that.
TM says Kim is alive in Breaking Bad, and she's actually in an episode of season 4, episode 4. Watch closely in the background of each scene. You're gonna make me do this right now.
Fuck you, TM. I know what you're trying to do, TM. You're trying to fuck with us. No, she's not. I mean, if she was, she'd have to be in the credits, and she's not in the credits. You're just trying to fuck with us, TM. All right.
Julia, I'm going to take this as a compliment. I hope you mean this as a compliment. Phil, you look more and more like my husband every day. He's also has long curly hair, prematurely gray. I'm not premature. I'm pretty fucking old. So this is probably gray. This is graying. But I'm decrepit as I should be aging. But thank you so much. I'm going to take that as a major compliment, Julia. Thank you.
Of course. And anyone's willing to marry somebody.
No. I look like our husband. Yeah.
Well, that's a great compliment. I never heard that. Someone said, "Tony, you look like my husband." My life.
Yeah, sure. No.
And my whole life is like that.
I'm blushing.
Kim and Jeff are connected for some reason.
Is Jeff the guy that talked to Saul
that's the cab driver
in the mall, like the cab driver guy? That I know you. So people think that maybe he might be a private investigator that Kim hired to find Saul in his after being disappeared. I guess it's possible. Or are those people through Gus and Mike, or are they just outliers? How do you no, different podcasts, different questions.
We have to talk about that in something else.
Right, because I was going to ask you.
The air freshener is the exact same air freshener that Kim had. There's no doubt about that. Chris brought it up here, and I said this earlier. The air freshener Kim had in season 6 is the same one Jeff had. It is the exact same air freshener. There's no doubt about
And Michelle Hayes, good point. She didn't say she liked her husband. Very good point. I'm glad you said
Michelle
that.
Hayes it's a troll.
No, I was thinking that though. I was thinking that. I was like, I don't know if it's a compliment or not.
He's
Anyway.
just troll shit. That's
good one, Michelle. Good one.
Lalo uses Lyle as a hired gun to assassinate Gus.
Tony,
it's a different situation, but do you have any opinions on?
Lalo uses Lyle as a hired gun to assassinate Gus. I don't necessarily. I think maybe try. I wonder what Lalo's plan is going to be in this next season. We'll do a stream, and as I said, we're going to do something on my channel and here on Tony's, breaking down these topics, and also do more of a generalized one over on mine as we get closer to the season. But we'll get into that more with what we think Lalo will do next. But it is interesting to think what his next plan will be. I wonder how much of it will involve Jimmy, how much of it will involve Kim. Do you think, just to keep this to Kim, do you think Lalo's plan has anything to do with something he wants Kim to do, or is it all about something he may want Jimmy to do?
The cockroach, baby. The cockroach is the
Jimmy.
key. He didn't go there thinking about Kim.
Nope.
He went there thinking about Jimmy.
100%. I agree.
And the fact that the first scene you see him with the recorder, he says, "Hey, you may have thought I was dead," means he's going to die. You don't bring that up. That, hey, you may have thought I was dead, and that he was recording it on tape means that tape has to be found. And that's how they're going to find out exactly what's going on with Gus down there. That's the reason why that tape recording is being made, because he's not going to live to tell about it. So he has to go out, and then they'll find that tape, and then they'll realize everything that's going on down underneath there.
And what Juliana said, Julianne said, I love how stumped I am at this point. I can't predict Lalo and Kim and Jimmy. And Tony, I know, like I said, I give you your credit for pointing out stuff that other people don't, and break down videos and predictions and such like that. But this is a tough show. And unlike other shows that this is the poker player that knows that you know what they're doing. And sometimes they'll push all in when they have the money. Sometimes they'll push all in when they don't have the money. They're a tough group to read. So as much as you have feelings of what you think's going to happen, is this a show that you feel a sense of there's nothing 100%, like you feel like anything could actually happen here? Do you have that same sensation, even though you do have theories on it and stuff?
Yeah, I think that there's got to be a reasonable outcome, but I think it can go any way.
Right. Yeah, exactly. They're going to rationalize it and make it work, whatever they do. It might be something, it could be any of these things. Tony could be absolutely right. I could be right at something, and throwing one of you guys in the chat could be right, because we're all studying the clues, but they're showing us clues that might be false. Like
red
herrings.
Even
exactly.
When you look at the picture, and we're using for our background for Better Call Saul, you look at it. Let's look at what it's actually depicting, right? He's walking uphill, but it's not him walking uphill. It's the world. It's tilted against him.
Exactly.
Right? So you have to look at what that means. Like, he's going uphill, but he's not really walking uphill. The world itself is tilted on a different slope, different plane than he's actually on. And that means something. They don't just do that just for cinematic purposes and everything else. That means something. And that's what I think when it comes down to, it's an uphill battle for him. The whole world is against him. The whole world is tilted from what he's normally known. And I think that's what the problem is going to be when it's all said and done.
Yeah, it's true. It's no matter what he does, it ends up on the opposite side. So at the end of all of this, does Jimmy win, so to speak? Or because you could argue that even though Walter dies at the end of Breaking Bad, he wins. He sets Jesse free. He kills all the Nazi douches. He was able to get his money to Walt Jr. through threatening his old partners. He's able to pretty much set up every situation he wanted to do before he gives himself up in that like a Scarface-ish moment at the end where he takes out everybody. Does Jimmy get a similar end at the end of all of that? And it's something, I guess, to throw out there. We don't have to answer this now, but it's just a question. And with Kim too, does Kim get a Jesse ending where she's the one that becomes free of all this? I guess we'll stick this to Kim since this is what the topic is.
Yeah.
Where does Kim's ending end up? Is she going to end up with a tragic ending at the end of all of this? Or do you think she ends up with a relatively grayish medium kind of ending, where it's like Ray Liotta at the end of Goodfellas kind of thing? Or does she end up with a really happy ending of sorts where do you think Kim ultimately, as we start to head towards the end here, where do you think Kim ends up?
As I said before in the beginning of this, and I say this again, I said this in the videos, you always have to look at the arc of the character to see exactly where they're going. And it always starts where they start at. Again, we put this in about Walt. Walt started off, he was dying. That's the beginning. He has terminal cancer, he's going to die. In the end, he dies. So that doesn't change. His thing when he started it was, I'm doing this to set my family up before I die. When he died, he did exactly that. Him dying was going to happen. Whether he went out the way he went out or just died from his disease, he's going to die. But his purpose was to set his family up. And that's exactly what he did before he died.
What is Jimmy's purpose?
So that's what it comes down to. When you look at Jimmy's purpose, to me, he's a con man at heart. He's a con man. So do you say he's a con man at the end, he wins the con game? Usually that's not what happens. Usually when you're a con man,
you get comeuppance.
You get conned.
Yeah, you get conned.
And I think it has to end that way with him, that he has to get conned by Kim, the person he truly cares about. And that's how he doesn't see it. So I think that her thing is that she's done everything. She ruined her life. She built herself up and almost broke herself down for this man. She has to get back at this man for fucking her life over and try to get her life straight back. I think that's
now. Grift Spark says there will be a happy ending. I really believe it, but happy is ironic because of the price of which it was purchased. So
what would be a happy ending?
Ending would first, I guess Jimmy and Kim coming together in the secondary timeline, but I don't think this show will do something like that. A couple people asked because it will have something to do. The guy Jeff that's talking to Saul. A couple people said in the chat could that be Kim's current husband seeking out Saul for trying to find Saul for Kim? I don't necessarily think that that guy's connected to Kim necessarily.
The only way he's connected to Kim is if Kim goes to jail for him at the end of this. And then she wants revenge by the Gene scenes.
Okay.
Comes back to get him.
Fairness, Tony.
No one talked to you. No one asked you to understand that. Who asked you to?
We said Kim, not Alexa. Shut up.
Jesus
no.
Christ.
Now mine's gonna talk. We have seen that Kim gets bitter in the sense of how she reacted to Howard when she felt slighted by him. So if she felt slighted by Jimmy in some ways, it's not beyond the shadow of doubt that if she went to jail for Jimmy because Jimmy sort of sold her out and blamed everything on her to save her.
If he does something to get her, this is how it can go and play out easily. If he sold her out, she winds up going to jail for as I said, I read the quote. I'll read the quote again so you understand. Jimmy, I have been on your side since the day we met. Who comes running when you call? Who cleans up your messes? I have a job, but I drop everything for you. Every single time you confess to a felony on tape, I'm there. You have a bar hearing, I represent you over and over again. If you need me, I'm there. So therefore, if she's been there, he sets her up to take the fall, and she winds up in jail, and she's like, motherfucker, you did this to me after I've done everything I could for you. this could be how she gets back, that she goes out there. It's only so much someone can do for someone. And the fact that you say that, when you say certain situations like that, that has to mean that has to come back to bite you. I've done it all for you. I've done everything I could for you, and still this is the way you treat me. Again, I will give a personal situation of my life, and I'm sorry that I keep doing this, but I'm trying to relate this.
No, and you almost have to. We'll
It's a
talk
real
about
world situation. But I had a friend named Scott, and I'll say this, that because the truth, that he robbed his parents, like took their credit card and ran up bills to $10,000-$15,000, and we went out and hung out and had a great time with that $10,000-$50,000. In the end, he tried to pull it on me. He didn't actually pull it off on me, but he pulled it off on someone I knew. And my man Asia told me when I was shocked about it, he was like, Tone, he robbed his own fucking parents. What made you think he wouldn't do something
Yep.
for you? Right? He robbed his parents. And I was stupid thinking like, I can't believe he did this to me. And my man Asia was like, Tone, he robbed his fucking parents, dude.
He's gonna
Why
do
wouldn't you
it.
think he
He's
would
gonna
do
do it to
something like
anybody.
this to you? Right? That's just what it is. So I think that it's a situation like that.
Jimmy fucked over his own brother, and I know Chuck was no prize, but he fucked over his own brother to the point of killing himself, and then just showed no, like, well, fuck Chuck, and that's who Jimmy is. I mean, I think we've seen Kim take this Howard thing a little bit more serious than Jimmy through the situation, but she's getting high on the situation for the first time and having fun with it, in my mind, in some ways. Jimmy is more in that life and more bloodthirsty in the sense of when he's faced with a chance to fall. I think he's gonna more likely to be the person that throws his friends on the fire to take it for him and keep going, where I think Kim is gonna think about the team more, even though she's like locked in. I think Jimmy's more of a scumbag than Kim is, even though, to go to Tony's first question of the night, is Kim unlikable? Right now, the way she handled the Howard situation is slightly unlikable. The way she lied to Jimmy about the Lalo thing is unlikable. But I think at core, Kim has more of a rationalization about things, where Jimmy is pathological. Like, he can't help being Slippin' Jimmy. He just keeps at it and at it and at it. And no matter how much he tries, no matter how much he tries to want to do the good thing, he can't do it. He won't do it. If Kim never met up with Jimmy and never had that connection with him in this sense at this point in her life, post becoming a lawyer, and had just stayed working with HHM, she would have fallen into the lawyer corporate thing and done her own thing, maybe quit HHM eventually and done the helping public defender kind of thing, and gone that route. But I don't think she would have naturally gone back into her con woman childhood ways if it wasn't for connecting back with Jimmy and falling in love with, who knows if she's even in love with Jimmy or just in love with how he connects her back to a feeling she had with her mother at childhood.
Exactly. I'm with you on that one. We have taken one Modelo. We'll go through the Modelo, and then we'll be out of here. I don't want to keep y'all up all night. I know you probably have to work in the morning. I want to thank to all the 107 people that have come out and support the stream. First stream ever done on this channel. And I don't expect big numbers or anything else like that. I don't expect all the hundreds of people to come watch, but I was happy that you did. And I also like a lot of the faces that I know that are into this show, that do other shows and they're here. Really appreciate it. And the new faces that are here. Hopefully subscribe to Teflon TV, subscribe to Fill the Issue Guy. And we'll be back again next week. We'll do another character and we'll break down these characters all the way through until the season starts. And then as soon as the season starts, as soon as the show is over, you can always tune in to Fill the Issues Guy. He's right there. As soon as it's over, you got to get shit off your chest. You go to Fill the Issues Guy. He's there with you doing it.
And hopefully we'll have Tony pop on a couple of times during the final group too, to share some of his.
We're not done yet, so let's keep Mark. Thank you, Mark A. Houston. So he just subbed. I truly appreciate that 100%.
So this question, thank you, Mark Houston. But when Howard questioned them about why the fucking them over so hard, I've been asking themselves that question too. Why they fuck him over so hard? Because most of that was not for any monetary gain or any possible solution other than sport and fun. We've talked about it a little bit and made reference to the Joker in The Dark Knight and what Alfred says to Bruce about the guy that just wants to burn everything down. I think there's something to be said about the way Kim specifically felt about the situation with Howard. She just wanted Howard to feel pain. She just wanted him to suffer, look embarrassed, fuck him over. Wanted him to have a moment like Chuck did in the chicanery episode when he gets broken down on the stand with Jimmy talking to him. So I think there's not much reason behind it. I think ultimately Kim, because she's the one that pushed it, and Jimmy to a certain extent, just wanted Howard to fucking suffer. They just wanted him. And sometimes, haven't you ever played someone in a sport or a game or something, whether it's a video game and a fighting game, or you're playing a game of poker, or you're playing a game of, especially basketball. Basketball gets like this, and you just want to beat this person. You just want to shut them up. It doesn't even matter. You just want them to suffer. Like, you want them to lose big. And I think that's how they felt about Howard.
Yeah, they just wanted Howard out. Howard has I think if you listen to the words he says, it's all that. It's everything he said. I was born with a silver spoon. You had to work your way up. You had to work your way up. I didn't have to work my way up the way you had to work your way up. I was born with a silver spoon. I was all this. All these things that he's saying is exactly the reason why they did it. That's why they had him say it. They spelled it out for you in the scene. Now, they can't tell you that that's what they're doing. So they have it as his inner monologue coming out and spilling over into it. But that's why they have him say that. That's exactly the reasons why they did it. And they celebrated about doing it. They're having sex, so happy that they were finally able to beat this pompous motherfucker who had everything. These are two people who came up, Kim, who came up with nothing and everything else like that, So that's why they were so happy about doing that to him. And that's why they did do that to him.
If only Howard was coked out that night, that would have, it would have been great. And thank you so much, everyone. Lalo presses his suppressed gun against the fish tank. One last chance to tell me the truth, Kimmy and Jimmy. Anyone notice how disconnected Saul and Mike are in Breaking Bad? At that point in the timeline, Saul and Mike have gone through a lot together, including surviving the desert and more, yet Mike treats Saul bad. I think Mike treats everyone bad, even people he likes. The only person we see him in this world treat even remotely good is Jesse. And that's because Jesse is like a child. And he has that sort of innocence about him. So Mike falls into grandpa mode a little bit with him.
Yeah, you can say grandpa son mode, younger mentor, like seeing it, like mentor him and everything else.
But everyone has a friend like Jimmy. And don't you treat Jimmy like a fucking scummy dude. Like, you might like him, you might hang out, you invite him over to parties because he's a good time sometimes. But Jimmy's a freaking scumbag. To go to Cheers again, Harry the Hat. They invite Harry the Hat into the bar sometimes when they need him to screw people over. But you're not hanging out, you're not trusting Harry the Hat. And and you're bringing Jimmy's the same way. And you're not trusting him. And Mike might have been through a lot with him. He thinks positively of him to a certain extent, but he knows he can never not trust Jimmy to Jimmy. And he's got to be very careful about that. So it doesn't surprise me that he treats Jimmy with a sense of disrespect consistently, because Mike just knows it. Mike's one of those guys that can point anything out, and especially a bullshit artist. Like, Tony, you're a bullshit artist a mile away. Like, sure, you can just spot it.
I'm from New York. I know a con man when I see one.
Yeah, and Mike is too. I believe Mike's like a New York cop originally or something like that. Like, you can make people. You can make a bullshit artist in 2.2 seconds. If you're from I feel like I can too, because my mother was a bullshit artist. So I just grew up around it. So you know it. You can see it. And Mike knows it in Jimmy, and he treats him accordingly.
I bet we used to get people back in the day. I don't smoke weed anymore, but I used to back in the day. And sucks that now the time I should be smoking weed.
Yeah, you think.
But I remember used to always say, like, people used to be like, yo, some got that chocolate tie last night. I used to be like, yeah, that shit tastes just like chocolate, right? They'd be like, yeah, it did, man. It tastes like a Hershey bar. Fuck you, motherfucker. Know what the fuck? It's a goddamn name. It's a fucking. But people, they just run their mouths, and you can tell when someone is just lying. And when you're it takes a bullshitter to understand a bullshitter. It takes someone, when you have that New York state of mind, when you're in New York or some city like that, you've done seen it all before. So you can just tell when someone is just faking the goddamn funk. When someone is acting tough, when you know these motherfuckers ain't tough, but they just want to have a story to tell because they're around people like that, you could just tell, you could spot those people a mile away.
And Mike just has no respect for Jimmy in a lot of ways and just thinks of him as a mouthpiece. And especially when we see him talking to Kim, we just realize he has so much more respect for Kim than he does for Jimmy. And who knows, maybe something that happens with Kim adds to Mike's sort of disapproval of Jimmy as a person.
So if before we wrap up, we'll talk about this real quick because we'll go back to Kim before it ends. But we talked about it. If they truly were going to do a spinoff, like say the money was there, you don't think they're going to do it. Most likely, you're right. But
I'll play with the what?
Let's say the money was there.
Yep.
Who would it be on? Now, I think that it has to be a character that was in both series. I don't think they can do a character that was just in this series. Me personally,
if they did something else, it would be Gus and Don Eladio in Bosa, and it would be a cartel show. I would think if they did anything else, it would be a complete history cartel, like focus on that and how that all goes through, a Narcos-y kind of show about that particular cartel organization, the foundation of Gus's complete rise from beginning to end. That, I mean, you could also go a Nacho show about Nacho's upbringing around the Salamancas. But I think the most likely thing, even though I don't think it will happen, but if there was to be something, I think the thing that people have asked most for at this point is a Gus show, is like a Gus history show.
But without Michael Esposito playing the character, because he couldn't be able to play him if he was young.
No, you would have to.
Does it work? Does it work?
You would have to recast everybody.
But would it work without him being in it?
No, and that's what I think part of the problem is. Could you see someone in Michael Miles? Great name, because I keep wanting to say Michael Myers. Michael Miles said, "I'll take a Hank show." Could you take a Hank working in the DEA show?
Because the Carlito Ways movie without Al Pacino was terrible when they did.
You mean the second one?
Yeah, that's probably one of the worst movie of Puff Daddy. Probably one of the worst movies I mean, Soul Plane may be the worst movie of all time, but this is close.
Street Fighter the movie's up there too. That's pretty bad.
But that fucking Dottie, that shit was this discussion. Michelle Hayes, good night.
And G says Kim is 100% scamming Jimmy for the Sandpiper money. Whole wedding is a scam, and that's what she really made it happen faster. Do you think that's the case?
I think that it's either two ways. Either she goes to jail and it's his fault, and then that ties into the Gene scenes that she's coming back for revenge to get the diamonds, to get her money, or she's scamming him all the way. In the end, if I had to pick one, I would say she's scamming him all the way.
So do you think this series ultimately ends with Kim being the winner, quote unquote? Like Kim beating Jimmy in the end, and Jimmy ending up with a more, and we'll talk about Jimmy's ending on a different day, but ultimately Kim ending as the victor in a battle between Jimmy and her, in a sense.
This is the Kettleman spin. Are we talking Dirty Dancing here?
Oh, the Kettleman.
I think if we look at who wins and who loses, just from Better Call Saul, it's hard because you have to take into account
Breaking Bad stuff,
Breaking Bad and everything else. That I would say that it would have to be Kim.
That Kim ends up in the better, and
He
instead
has
of you
to
saying
end-
instead of winning or losing, Kim ends up in
She
the
has
better
to win.
place.
When it's all said and done, she has to win.
She ends up in the better place than Jimmy.
She has to win. I don't see her dying. I mean, could
Winner
she die?
takes it all.
Of course she
Winner
could.
takes
Of
it
course she could
all.
die. But I just don't think he has the same attitude that we've seen if this woman who's done all this for him is dead. Unless somehow he fucked it up.
I could see it not being. I agree with you. I don't think it's the actions of someone where she's dead, but it's very easily actions of somebody that got fucked over and is like totally all in on his goofy, over the top, making money, bloodthirsty kind of character because he realized that any room for emotion is wrong when Kim takes advantage of that. In these back half episodes where the last of Jimmy's humanity is destroyed with Kim being selfish and fucking him over when the chips are down. So she's been ride or die to this point, but ultimately in the end, I think what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that ultimately at the end of all of this, she's going to need for some reason to fuck him over, and she is going to do that. Yes. And be in a better position because of it. And Jimmy is good. And maybe some of that will conclude the finality of that will occur in the Gene timeline.
Yeah, I think it has to. You know what I mean? I think that's the way it definitely ends up in Gene timeline. When is we gonna get the Office? We haven't gotten the Office. When do we get the Office?
I think it. I was wondering why Kim was acting all weird with Francesca in that scene, and that was why, because she didn't think the Office looked right. I think by the end of this, the first couple of episodes, we'll see that, because Francesca, we saw those scenes where Francesca sees like the dudes pissing in the office and shit. So I think between now and the next episode, Francesca will change the Office more into what we recognize, realizing that she should get her expensive shit out of there because this isn't that kind of place.
Yeah, I think it'll have to be very, very soon and stuff like that. All right, we're gonna bounce up out of here, man. Listen, I want to thank everybody for coming out here joining us. Everybody, especially people who said, "Hey, I just subscribed to Phil's channel."
Please,
just went over there and did that. Appreciate you doing that.
No,
100%.
very much appreciate that. And if you want, I talked about every episode, like 2 hours or so of me babbling about it, of almost every episode of the series since the first episode. It's one of the few shows on my channel I've talked about since episode 1. I think episode 1's podcast got taken down random. It was like back in the day when YouTube was just taking down random shit because for some reason, but pretty much almost every episode of Better Call Saul I've talked about. So make sure you check that out. And I can't wait to talk about the final 6 episodes with Tony here, and come back Wednesday nights, our usual suspects nights over here. So right now,
I would say this, if whoever the next character you want us to talk about, put it in the comment section. Whoever has the most votes will come back next week and we'll talk about that character.
Now I'm an asshole, so I'm going to put Jackie C's comment on the screen. Tony, when are you in After Dark?
I would love to do some After Darks. I would love to go back to doing some After Darks. Hopefully, we can, we can get Anna. If you have to have Anna, it's not going to work unless we have Anna.
No, I mean,
it all has to work out.
In fairness, I always think of After Dark as more of a winter thing because the summer people are out and about more on Saturdays. But we'll definitely do some more After Darks. Tony, Anna, and I are craving some conversation, and the three of us.
And if people don't know what After Dark is, because you're new here and whatever, After Dark is basically a sex.
Yeah,
anything goes.
Anything goes, sex lifestyle kind of discussion.
Yeah, we talk about anything goes. A lot of it is sexual in nature, and we delete the stream as soon as it's over, so you could feel free to talk about anything you want.
Yeah, it's like the equivalent of sending a Snapchat where it's like exists for a moment and it just disappears and it's gone.
We have a bunch of beautiful women on, and we ask
even though I'm pretty sure Tony saves it all for blackmail just in case. He's doing his own Kim Wexler, Saul Goodman sort of thing, just in case to have that. No, I'm kidding.
And they talk about a lot of stuff that's happened, like story time about things they've been through with men and everything else, and and women at that particular time, doesn't matter. And we talk about a lot of adult nightcap topics.
Make sure the kiddies are asleep for the
Yeah, we do. When you see it, if it says after dark, just know what you're getting into when you watch that.
Tony ends up losing like 20 subscribers every time he does an After Dark.
Yeah, every time I do After Dark, people leave. They get nervous. What is this?
I'm out. You're not talking. You're not talking about From. You're not talking about Dexter. You're not talking about Game of Thrones.
Jesus Christ! You just talked about somebody putting their boobs and the things between them and everything else, and I will say that a lot of women, every woman is very honest. So we're all adults, and we're honest, and we talk very, very candidly about situations and stuff, and that's just the way it goes. So we have talked about it all on After Dark, believe you me, and whatever. People have fetishes, and we talk about it. We don't hold anything against anybody, even if it's something I'm not into or whatever. But we talk about it, and that's just the way it goes. So definitely, if you see After Dark, just know what it is. That's what it. We'll definitely be doing another stream and everything else like that and all that stuff. But thank you everybody for joining us.
And Demented Mussolini, yes, every Wednesday at about 8 p.m. live on Teflon TV. Yes. So make sure you join us again next week at the same bad time, same bad channel.
Yeah, we'll be at 8 p.m. next week, Wednesday. We'll do another live stream. We'll talk about, again, whoever you want us to talk about, put it in the comment section. We'll talk about it and stuff like that. And we'll get it done for you. If you like the way it does, please thumbs up this. As always, spread this across the realm. And as always, man, subscribe. And until next time, you know who it is. Peace and stay sexy.